Right.
Okay, then it's Saturday, 30th of April, 2022, and it's 9:12 a.m. Greece. So it'll be 6:12 p.m. New Zealand. I'll share the screen, John, and you can read out what it is that we'll be speaking today in this hearing.
I can read it from my mobile phone would be better because
Well,
I may not be.
I'll put it on the screen so that people can see it.
Okay, for people to read. Yeah, so they can follow through where we're going with this all.
So,
you waiting for me?
Yeah, you read away, John. I'll just keep letting people in.
Okay. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. I'm John Whenua here in Hamilton, and I've got Alfred with me. We're here to represent the Confederation, the first Confederation here, or they call it the Whakamilinga, up in Waitangi. But in the corporate world, it's on the documents as being the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa, or that's the name that's on in the United Nations, or where they have gone with all those documents from here, New Zealand, and it's the hub of the flag that's the government in Wellington is using it through the iwi trust at Waitangi, and that's the British Crown coming through that flag. And they can't lower it to the ground. It's on the wrong rung of the ship mast, in partnership with the British Crown, the big crown, and that's where the wealth has gone from all the countries that use this King's flag for trade and to share the laws, the Admiralty laws and maritime laws, and the martial law in the federal states. It's a federal state flag, and so you've got federal state government, Commonwealth government, and state government. Three governments operating in Australia, and New Zealand doesn't have a federal state government, but it has usurped the federal state from Australia through Victoria, and getting the authority from the New South Wales colonial government that's come across to New Zealand. So you've got two sides, one coming through Australia with their 5-point star that's Kate Floss is trying to justify the existence of the Queen Victoria authority from the Crown and the monarch in Westminster. And so we're coming straight from Britain through this flag and straight onto the land, and we're exercising our right as Confederation chiefs from the old members that passed away now, and we're the ones up now keeping the Confederation, or they call it the Whakamilinga, but on for legislation and for transactions and instruments, legal instruments, the word Confederation is used more so than the Whakamilinga for this flag, for using the flag and keeping its continuity of sovereignty going for our people here that are flying it all the time but don't understand it's a flag of trade and banking and commerce and corporations that was set up by the king. The king set the corporations up, especially from the 1600s, and King William III set up these corporations for us, the common people. And as soon as it went through out into the world, and then King William picked it up, King William carried on that male line dominance to conquering the world, or doing all the work to go out in the world, and would now use this flag for other countries as a guinea pig here, to use its power of martial law. Now you've got with the COVID and all the rest of it, they're using this, you're using this flag for its power straight from the crown and the monarch and the throne. So that's one thing I wanted to clear up, the story of the flag. And it's not a protest flag. It's not supposed to be going around. It's supposed to be on the sea and going through the sky and over the land, because it's a sea and land flag, as opposed to the 5-point star flag that Kate Floss and her Europeans are maintaining for their documents in a court hearing. That good luck to her. She can exercise her intelligence to make her documents work for getting things done in this government or taking them to court. So we're not really in the way of taking the government to court. We're going to Westminster to make the government there and the Crown to dissolve Parliament one shot, and to seize on the land and all the assets here from that flag and from Britain in the courts, the magistrate court, the highest court for lands and circumventing the Commonwealth countries. The magistrate was the court, the captain of the ship was the court, and the documents that started off in New Zealand and with the native customary native land titles changed into the Crown title. The King says the land belongs to the King when he first came here. And I've got that history of where they first came in and fought with the natives, not Maori, because Maori came out in the 1950s or so, but on the records, it's later to the 90s when it was. It's especially in the 1945s when they had the Maori going to war. They put a label on the natives and called them Maori, so that they can bunch them into one place instead of going through the HAPU where the power is. It's still in the HAPU, not the iwi, not the trusts, not because those corporate things are not the landowner. The landowner is they say, the Crown says you own the land, but we own all the documents. And so I always been going after the documents and identifying the Crown's right to the land and to usurp the HAPU's power through the iwi trust to control the lands with the government and in partnership with the Queen, with Queen Elizabeth II as Kate's Queen for her documents. And so we use the King for our documents as superior law, and using the 1600s laws, the start of Ireland and New Zealand joined together at the hip, and starting from the Glorious Revolution, where everything happened in Ireland. That's why we've got Rebecca there, standing on the land talking to us, and Paul Brown, all those people I met when I went there to unveil St. Patrick's gravesite, to claim his title to those acts of Parliament and the Municipalities Act, especially that one, the 1835 Municipalities Act, to pick up the rent, the lease on the lands and everything in the councils or the counties, and put into the Crown, the big Crown bank. So that's where I come from with the lands. It's all the same. Every land in all the countries that are being conquered under the King has the Queen didn't go to war, she stayed home. And so she wasn't involved in all those transactions on the land to put the money into the Crown account. And the Queen's got the Crown, she's got control of all that wealth, still controlling it on behalf of the King. If when she dies, she might have died already. There's belief that she has already, but they're extending it out till they get the New World Order in, so that they can squash the whole of Westminster and dissolve it, get rid of it, and get rid of the monarchs, get rid of all the kings and queens and all the Commonwealth countries, and also get rid of the British Empire and put it into the New World Order. That's I've watched that all the way through, and so we still haven't got to the stage of succeeding to the throne to take over that business of the crown, and no one stepped up to the plate yet. Jeff Foley from Australia, we were working with him to go in as a king, because he was King William's, his father, Jeff Foley's family, the Foley family, has been Admiralty back to 500, the year 300 to 500 AD, and they followed all that history through, and that's what Jeff Foley's is the Lord Lauder Castle in England. That's his title. That, but it never got that far, because you had others who wanted to go after the throne and the crown and the business of the crown. So that's where I've been trying to teach our people at Waitangi what the flag means. That's what it means, the crown's business, and not playing around with the flag too much. So we've come to that point now, Andy, that you're the other partner as being British, and we're the partner of you and everybody else that we've got online or have engaged when I went there to put it all back together where it was when it was running successfully under King William IV. So we're trying to establish the memorials to the land and documents to the title of New Zealand, to go right back to the beginning. So you need a memorial, you need a flag, and you need the documents, the instruments, Andy, before you can do anything. You've got to have those three instruments. You've got to have those three things. That Kate would have problems to get her flag and continuity of flying all the time, like this one. This one been flying since 1835, and keeping that continuity of sovereignty going between us and Britain. The Queen snapped off her sovereignty. She hasn't got any continuity, so it's ended. It's severed, and that's another problem Kate has of that side of the going through Australia and putting titles on the land that are not correct. So I'm here to correct the titles. And being in real estate, I want to go back to Westminster with some sort of experienced people, not anybody that's going to sit around. It's serious stuff, Andy, for everybody listening for this video, because today a lot of people might not come on, but they want to listen to the video to learn what has happened and why all the countries are in trouble with debt and everything, controlled by the City of London and the Treasury in Westminster, and the governments in the countries are still controlled by Britain and the Crown Corporation and Rothschilds that hijacked the Bank of England, 1694 Bank of England Act, all these things, instruments that are being putting together for this day. And you'll see my documents, some of them are pulled out of the archives of Facebook and put them up again, going back to 2011, of all the documentation I've put through all that time through 2017 to prepare 2 years before going to England in 2019 to take our flag and put it into Parliament. You arranged the Parliament for us to go in with Lee Kant as being an accountant, because he was going to account for everything that the government is doing with the money, and spending money in wrong things and not on the people. So those are the things, when we get organized, Lee Kant will look after the accounting for us, and our countries, the Commonwealth countries, where the money is going to war and not to the people. The war is a banker's war, and that's why Jacinda Ardern here, our Prime Minister, is keeping that legacy going of more war means more money and more business. This flag here is supposed to be for business, but not for war. It's there to protect any enemy or any threat to our trade. And the military in Britain is supposed to step in and stop anybody getting in the way of that flag. And so we're going back to that position where it was successful for 5 years. This flag was flying for New Zealand before the government and the Queen pulled the other flag down, the counterfeit flag down. Our 5-point star down, but never pulled this one down. It still flies on the cross rung today. And the Navy is the only one allowed to put the flags up. And they always put that one on the cross rung in special times when the government, the Navy, and the chiefs, they call them Maori, but not really on documents. It's the Maori is in Kate's side of how she comes through Australia with the Queen authority to call these people. They invented the word Maori, and the tribe belongs to Maori. Ngāti Whātua tribe belongs to the Crown Corporation in Wellington, the little crown. The big crown is the one the Queen's got on her head. That's the big crown that collects all the other countries, Commonwealth countries, wealth from the land and the resources from the little crown. They get paid their share out of it. And the other shares go back to England, to the Queen's crown, the big crown, and the rest goes to the United Nations to borrow and the loans from the bank into the fiat money in America. So America's involved with England in doing all the skullduggery with the money that they've collected from off those lands through us in New Zealand, where they've hidden their business as being the king is silent. They silenced the king, silenced our flag, but we could pull it out any time, Andy, when use it effectively when our people start waking up. And we're here, Alfred and I are here to wake the people up so that they know what's happening with it all this time. And so that's my job today in this video, to talk about that and how people have to come up to speed, not muck around, and watch what's going on in the United Nations and not blame anybody, but what the threat really is of taking our flag away and putting it into the United Nations to carry on the King's authority. And the Queen is gone. She would have gone by now because she's in Scotland and away from England and not sitting on the throne. So that becomes ineffective, and trying to run remote and gone in exile is not really going to abdicate to Prince Charles, because she had to be on the throne, and she can't go back there, Andy, because I put all the documents together to arrest her in England for fraud and corruption and all the rest of it, treason and all. She's done a great job of that, and now hiding in Scotland under the Freemasons, and with Trump coming over to see her, made a deal of some sort. He's supposed to be the good guy that keeps Britain going, while the United Nations, it was Trump that wanted to get rid of it. He when he wasn't in the Congress, he wanted to destroy it because it was full of fraud. So he's there to stop all the fraud when he himself may be found out to be fraud as well. So they're playing around with this corporation flag in America, because when the captain of the ship went from New Zealand, he went straight to America. So everything in the commerce world was done in New Zealand through the modeling of native countries. They're using us as a guinea pig to take out all the other countries with this case they're doing at the moment on land and memorials. And the memorials, you see that Moai statue, and they are put on my site of the, I've fought with them fought with the government on these Moai statues they put there, and a concrete one in Wellington on Lyell Bay to claim the whole Pacific Ocean and islands and the land, and the Foreshore and Seabed Act 2004 with that Moai statue, while the big one is in England, in the City of London area, in the museum, as the Queen Victoria's title. The woman stole the titles, Andy, to the indigenous Moai and commercialized them. So they commercialized them and made it into a corporate instrument. And that's what I'm doing with the Moai, mirroring what they have done, what Queen Victoria had done and Queen Elizabeth done with everybody's memorials in their country. All those artifacts and all those statues and everything in the museum and in the Vatican, they've all been stolen, Andy. What did God say? Thou shalt not steal. What did they do? They went and stole the whole bloody lot, and the king never touched them. The kings never touched those memorials because they knew they were the title to the land. And so I say to Kate, you must have a memorial to the land. Why did your government in Wellington and Helen Clark and go and bodgy up a fake Moai from Chile, not from East Island, Rapa Nui, but they made one in Chile and brought it over there to claim that title to the foreshore and seabed. At the time, I was putting our claims together at the East Coast Gisborne area and Te Araroa and with Mohi Manukau in the Kaipara and Auckland areas. I was putting his claims together. It took a long time. It took a fair whacking time, and it wasn't for Mohi Manukau teaching me how the Freemasons put their titles on the land, and they are the ones that were the scribes. They were the surveyors who marked out the lands to put into the crown all the leases. It was done by the Freemasons. So the Freemasons have a stake in the crown, the big crown that the Queen's got on the head. You've got the Pope has rights in the crown too. So you've got everybody and his dog going after the crown and get rid of everything and keep all the money while you suffer on the land. You'll never get to see it. So that's why we're going to England, to Westminster, to sort this whole out from here, where the racket started from in the first place in 1835. You can say from that year on with this flag, it's cemented into history, and we're here to keep that legacy going. But the documents, not talking about it on the marae all these years. That's why nothing happens to Maori land and claims and everything, because it's not Maori land. That was dreamt up. That's a myth put together by the government, the colonial government people and their private business in Wellington. And then they used that for Australia as well. The Constitution Act 1986, Australia borrowed that act at the same time. I was trying to stop them from taking that act and putting it over there. And there's a lot of things they did that's skullduggery that's going to go to court in England, how they shared their powers. And the time they had the Tuhoi raids and the government and Aaron Pascoe, he was in charge of the police. I was going him. So I've got him on my books as being fraudulent, and they had to get rid of him because I was after him. Same as that policeman in Otahu, Andy, in Cook Street, while I was going there to identify Philip, the guy Philip, and all that lot that's going on and getting away with. And that Aaron Pascoe had no right to use the martial law from Australia to apply to the land and to surround everybody in Tuhoi and as if they were criminals and block the roads off and put those people heads into the sand and the children locked them up in the shed. All those sort of things going on under these martial law, admiralty law, and maritime law. At the same time, I was learning a lot from that after being in real estate for a while, learning what they do with land. So it's all about land, here in this presentation, and it's all about the memorials to the land and the documents and the people. You got to have people to go with it that belong to all of that under the king. So we're trying to get some order here back in place to take control of that back to the people, rather than these New World Order and World Economic Forum people, elite people who are taking it all for themselves out of the land and forevermore keep you in debt. So we're trying, this is the only way I can think of, is to go after the one title to the whole country, which is the Moai, to a whole country, do exactly what they're doing with it, and every other memorial going on. There's obelisks everywhere that claim the title. The church has got their claims on the title. The missionaries got their claims on the title of the land. But we have the overriding instruments to take all that back, Andy, and that'll go around the world as a precedent case. So we're setting up this case so that it would go back into all the other native customary lands, and to put it back where the king put it in the first place. So tonight's meeting, I just want to keep some order, and anybody that wants to come on and talk, that we will limit the time they have and stick to the agenda. And I'll read the agenda out so that we know where we're going with it. So that's, and anybody that I'll ask to mute anybody who is going to be negative and not come with concrete stuff to talk about. Although we want to get an organization together under a company, I've got a registered company that I set up called Te Ture Whenua Act. That's the four corners of this place and the world, with this Moai title that I put together with Mohi Manukau, the chief of the founding president of the Confederation organization, way back before the 1986 Constitution was put in the country, that Australia is sharing that 1986 Constitution as well, and the Land Acts. They're sharing things because they say this is part of Australia, and so that's another issue for another day. So we can go through these on the next session of things that I'm just taking a broad brush across everything, so that we can concentrate tonight on just what Alfred's got to say, and then people can have their talk afterwards, or try and contact me. I'll be watching my messages. If anybody wants to talk, I'll just send them the link to come in. So that's the best way to control this hui, what they call it, in the Maori world. And so I want to keep order, so that this will go down as record. The video itself is from it, is the minutes of a hui that you must have to make it legal, in a sense, for the government here, that you had a meeting and you kept the minutes for the land. So those, and I can get those done, they're transcribed into documents of exactly what we've been talking about, so that it shifts from one meeting to the next, and so forth, that we can go to England with some concrete evidence of these titles. The people will soon realize what has happened to their land. They haven't lost the land, Andy. They've just lost the use of it in their own authority, and that the iwi trustees are the legal land owners, and the HAPU, the sub-tribes, HAPU, who own the land, are beneficiaries of a trust where this big crown is. Because with that flag, Andy, that is the partnership, the only King's flag partnership between the British monarch and us as native. Now we've got everybody living here now that are born to New Zealand as natives of New Zealand, but not an original male bloodline inheritor, a legal inheritance to the crown itself. So I'm separating the people from the crown and separating the lands and put them where we can see them and identify what has happened to their lands they say they lost. And so the sooner people realize that the money that the Crown uses in Wellington here is split off, and the portion of it goes to the United Nations. That's why they keep borrowing money all the time and paying interest on it, and the principal goes to the Queen and the big crown out of the little crown here in New Zealand and the Commonwealth countries that have to account for everything they've taken from the land taxes and all the rest of it, land rates. But in our concern is the land rates and leases and rents that we are concerned about the land. What happens to the land, and why we don't get anything from it? It's because they invested and pulled the money out to keep their business going. So we set up this corporate business and registered in New Zealand as Ngā Ture Whenua Act. That's what Mohi Manukau's claim is, original Ngā Ture Whenua Act. There's other several names, but it's got those words in it as native to the land, and so we're using that and the Moai Memorial, and take our memorial back, the real one that's in Dunedin with a crown on its head. That one that the Queen Elizabeth put there, took it from East Ireland for her title to the land and the country. So there, Kate Floss needs to get her memorials to back up what she's saying about Queen Mary and Will. She won't talk about the King's work. She only talks about the Queen and what her position is in the partnership with the King. And but I'm saying is the King is what I'm using because he conquered the world and made the empire and imperial laws and all the rest of it. So we've got a whole bunch of laws around these lands and mirrored through the world coming from New Zealand. So there, that's something to go on. So any questions can be answered later. And so I'm going to run through the rules of this meeting so that they apply every time we have a Zoom meeting. There's rules to follow and an agenda of what we want to do to collect this country and every other indigenous country in the world. So Andy, we have to be on our best behavior. We have to know what we're doing, and we have to have better instruments, first in line, first best at law, to go to England armed with everything, with what we want to do to straighten this whole country out, and the government, dissolve the government and parliament and set our own up. There's plenty of clever people around that can do a better job than what they're doing, screwing the people out with the vaccines and all the rest of it, that they put up and spend millions and millions of dollars promoting it, and still people are still dying, and nothing has changed. That it's not fixing anything. So those, I don't want to talk about those things. I'm just saying, where did the money and the wealth go from the land and the resources through the councils that pick up the rent on using this 8-point star of St. Patrick's from Ireland, Northern Ireland, that I went there to put those memorials together to go back into the King William III Acts and use all those, the Bill of Rights 69. You'll see the Bill of Rights 69. I put a picture there today of Queen Mary and King William together at their coronation was in 1869, not 1868. Nothing was legally possible to go into a court hearing with a 68 Act And I'm saying that online now on this video to see the difference on how as intelligent as Kate is, she's using documents that won't get past the judge because of that reason. It's not adding up to having an act. It's not an act. It's only a bill, and the act came out in '69. So those things I want to make sure it's on my documents. I put it there in 2011. I put it online now. Brought them out of the archives and on Facebook, and all those pictures I'm putting on my page have been signed and sealed with the King's seal and the 8-point star of St. Patrick for the municipalities under King William III and King William IV with the with the flag jurisdiction to cover these documents that we have to take back our country and every other native country in the world. So there. So I'll leave that there for a moment. I'll go back.
I did. Just dropped that. Sure, John will be back in a second. Right? Yeah. So I mean, my understanding of all this, I mean, I like keeping things simple. It's basically we just want to see where it went wrong, where all this where the power was shifted and deceived through deception to have the power going into the wrong people's hands. It's all about jurisdiction. I mean, that is the power to make the decisions on the land, isn't it? And that should always be down to the people. I mean, ultimately, I say the King's crown was only a crown of the people's sovereignty. So the King's crown only had the power of the people. So it's always been about the people. And who we have classed as government, yeah, are actually the governed. And they should actually be swearing an oath to the people, ultimately, because we are all of the creator. So we are all the creator, and therefore if you are swearing an oath, it should be to the people, and that's what the servants should be doing. They should be serving the people with the best interests of the people. So we'll just let John come back in. So at the moment, I mean, if anybody does, everybody, if everybody knows, if anyone wants to speak, if you can put your hand up, there's a little on your screen itself. You can like it just says like if you click on it where you can put your hand up, raise a hand if anybody wants to speak. If anyone wants to be unmuted. I think John's. I think Alfred was going to read something off first. But that's this is my understanding of it. It's just getting back to the original, to seeing what we know what's happened. I mean, all the works, all the bloodshed that's got to the situation to where we are now. You know, no one should have to die in vain. No one should have to die in vain. So what we have got created, what's been created, it wants the good sides bringing out, and the rest put into bed, basically. And like I say, as far as I'm concerned, anybody in positions of power, in other words, they're meant to be this. I mean, because the king was a servant. The king was a servant. You know, the king can only have as much power as the people can give him. You know, so it was. This is for me. It was a one stop. It was a one situation, a flag that everybody could stand in that jurisdiction because it gives self-governance, self-discipline. So it's all there. It's all there. So just go and have a chat with John, see where he is. Yeah. So I don't know where John's. Hopefully his phone's not broken. It doesn't look like he's online, isn't he? He's active. Just mute out and I'll call him. Second. Seems to be having problems. Like, I'll be back in a second. Let's try him again.
Hello, Andrew. Andrew, can you hear me?
I'm just talking with John. I'm just trying to find out what's wrong with John. I'll be with you in a second. Sorry about this. Sorry about that. Who was speaking then? Did someone shout me?
Yeah, that was me. I'm Tina Murray.
How you doing, my friend?
Hello. So apart from all of that knowledge that's being shared, the objective is to go to England with information and documentation to be able to submit. And so these discussions, you guys are looking for a certain amount of people with skill sets to be able to go over. And do you guys have, what skill sets do you need, and what is the time frame to do it? So, I'm not offering my services because I think this is out of my skill set, but it would be good to know, like, I mean, are you expecting it to happen? Is there a deadline pushed on you guys to get it done before July, before something comes through? Or I suppose all of this information is good, and the people who have got the skill sets would know and be able to help you guys with that. But I'm in the audience listening and watching. I don't have those skill sets. But I suppose I think people who are wanting to and who are able to is probably one of the questions that I would think that need to be identified so you guys can achieve what you need to.
Yeah. Basic. Yeah. I mean, that's really it. It's the people with the knowledge. I am waiting for the phone. This is basically John's got. I mean, but it's the instruments that John's got and the knowledge that John's got of what's actually happened. So basically what he wants to do is to get the people together so that we can compile this in one piece to go back over, because we went over before, but he wants to get this so that it's in front of a court to dispute exactly what is, so that because that was the thing. It was about it's been recognised. I mean, I know, yeah, that this flag, or should I say, I know that this flag's being used because I've been told. I've only been told this, but I saw a guy over here who is he's a sailor. He goes on the super yachts, and he recognised the flag. And I says, "Well, where do you recognise the flag from?" He says, "Well, we used it." And so I know this flag in my heart, yeah, from what this guy was telling me, that this flag is actually being used, as John's pointing out. They've usurped it. This flag is being used. And they used this flag when they needed to get to the front of, I think it was in France, he said, and it was somewhere in France, and that was going into a harbour, and they needed to get to the front view, to the front position. And the only way that they could do that was by pulling this flag out, putting it to the top, and they went past everybody else's flag because it was the most powerful flag. And it was just about flag rules that he was using. So, and when I said, okay, then, you know, because I wasn't even believing to him, and he said the guy's claim to fame was that the Queen had made him breakfast. And it was the Getty family. So the Getty family have been using this flag. And this didn't come out of anything. It was just because he saw it on my car. And he told me that he knew it. So, you know, and I know the guy anyway. I knew the guy for years before as well. I know his mum and dad. I know his dad and his sister as well. So it was just something he said. So it was, okay then, right then. Okay, then we've got an acknowledgement now that we do know that this flag is still being used. We still know the power within this flag, but it's not recognised by the people. It's not being recognised by the governments, so-called governments. But it is, but not from the people that should be using it, which is what, you know, the New Zealand, which is what New Zealand's using it, and the people. Well, it's the world's flag. For me, it's a one-stop flag. Similar in the same sense with the David Wynne Miller, you know, with the Title IV flag, which was the language flag. It's a one flag. It's not an American flag. So for me, it's a one flag, a one rule that suits all. Because within inside that flag, everything that was created was everything that everyone had fought for with the kings to create this unity between the natives, or the original people, the men of the land, and the king's side of it. So it was a 50-50 contract. To me, is perfect. Had to restart the phone. So John's still having problems here. So for me, one thing that fits all. We can have one language, which is David Wynne Miller created, which was basically it's just a mathematical language, so that it says what it means and means what it says. So if any contracts were to be written out, it should be written, as far as I'm concerned, in a language that says what it means and means what it says. There can be no forked tongue. There can't be duality of words. It says exactly what it means. And in a contract that we're going to all agree upon, it can only have one meaning. It's going to have one meaning. You know, there's many different languages out there, but the translation between the words, everything gets lost. This is what the Babylonian did. You know, they destroyed the language so that people couldn't communicate, and we would end up arguing over stupidness because it was only because of things that were lost in translation, whereas nobody has ever fought or argued over a mathematical equation. You see, the numbers may all be given different meaning, different words spelled differently in all different languages, but the meaning is exactly the same. So we can have unity, we can have a common sense, we can have a common agreement and a common understanding, and all agree to the fact that 3 + 3 = 6, no matter what word or what language that's read out in. But when it comes down to words and writing down contracts, everything can get, you can translate it, and you can, and that's this. So it's the eliminations of lies. Yeah, we need the volition on the paper. We need to see, you know, what someone says and what someone means can be two different things. And we need to eliminate what someone says and what someone means. They have to be the same. You have to say what you mean and mean what you say. And as long as everybody's saying what you're sorry on.
Yeah, okay then. So you've said a lot, but for me, you've in that layered conversation, is that one, you want awareness to happen. Two, you want to make people aware so you can unify them. and then 3 with the correct information or language. Now, to make people aware what is the amount of people that you are after, because to me that is more like getting a petition of people to collate and support a concept or an idea, and then on top of that, it's got to be a language where they all can understand, which John has got all of the knowledge and language, but be able to feed it to a lot of people to get enough support is another process. And then to go over to England is then another process in getting it applied. So to me, there's quite a few components in there, which you spoke of, but in the priority, the goal is to go to England with your documentation and put it through a process. The other stuff of getting unity and support is another process and another challenge in itself. I mean, we've got 3, 6, 9, 10 people here, or 11, say. That in itself, or what is the numbers that you equate to be appropriate to go over? And then in saying that, is that with the people that we've got here, what skill sets do you need to be able to achieve that? Like, I mean, I have done reading and research and I'm okay with, but in this realm, I don't think that I am equipped to do that. So I listened to the other meeting and I learned a lot, but in this meeting, I'm still learning. But at the end of it, there has to be a sort of an objective to get to. And all of those points that you pointed out, that's quite beefy for me as a listener to try and get done. And you'd need staff or get amount of staff for those positions to fill. Does that make sense?
I get exactly what you're saying. Yeah, everything's got to be breaking down and one thing at a time. You take it in steps. First is the recognition, which is what John's saying, by taking it to the court and to get the legal put back into it, to get it recognised, because it's a matter of legal and lawful. In my eyes, it's a matter of legal and lawful, and the corporate side, which is this is the side that John's saying. Basically, the corporate side's gone AWOL, it's gone crazy, and it needs some structure, and that's what this flag. That's what I'm taking, that this flag is going to bring that structure back, because there's no enforcement. The protection was with the Navy, yeah. The Navy was the naval, and that was the protector, and that's what's in that flag. That's that black filament, yeah. So that's what is there to be holding these people accountable. But then they are using it. They're using it. They're controlling it, and it's in the wrong hands. It's not. On the 50-50 partnership, the King's side of it, the King was gagged, and the Queen and the Rothschilds have taken control of it. Whereas, where's the 50, the other 50% of it, which was the natives? It's a 50-50 contract, and somebody's usurped the King's side of it, and the native side of it has been ignored. So it's a case of getting it recognised, so that we've all got to say, well, everyone should have. Everyone's got a mouth. Everyone's got their own right to speak, and everyone's got their own input.
Yeah, I hear you. That's all relevant information. Let me put a pragmatic way.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, you want a document written. We need 3 people. We need a writer, we need a researcher, or we need something. And then 3 weeks after that, we're going to refine it. Then another 2 weeks after that, we're going to England. That's a timeline pragmatically. Okay. All of that information that you're giving me, I'm learning as I hear you, and that's a good thing for me. But until you put a time and until you break it down on what you need, we can discuss this till the day's end, and I'll learn, and I'll be grateful for it. But I suppose what I'm putting in is pointers. We need this done, we need this done, we need this done. But I'm not running it. I'm just asking so I know where we're heading. That's all.
No, that's beautiful.
But
beautiful.
Thank you.
No, that's beautiful. No, thank you. Okay, John, do you want to? Johnny, I'll let you back in then. Did you heard that? Yeah, because I mean that is a good point too. You know, we do need some structure. We do need some structure to see exactly what's going, so that we can know exactly what we are doing, like, and who it is who can build it.
I want to answer that, because the thing is that we've already done our research through the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa, and you know, we can't afford to do a U-turn for people to play catch up on this. You know, what I'm saying is that a lot of us have been on this kaupapa for 50 years plus. You know, even before in this country where they claimed the big land march in 1975. A lot of us, there's a few of us that were involved in that before 1975, including myself. So we don't want to do a 50-year U-turn for people to catch up, for them to do their research. We've already done our research, you know, and so for people to say, oh, we need a researcher, we don't want to. John and I don't need to bring in a newbie researcher, you know. Yeah, we want to go forward on this, and rather than bringing people in to try and procrastinate the process. John has spoken about this kaupapa at Waitangi, and so have I, Waitangi Marae.
Okay.
So if people at Te Ture Whenua Act, Waitangi Marae, sort of after the hui end up going back and burying their heads in the sand and doing nothing, well, we can't, you know, for the sake of this country, you know, we're here to save the country, and not only save the country, this flag will help save the world. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay then.
So
can
Andy, yeah,
sorry.
carry on. I'm the,
Okay, to respond to that, okay then, so you guys have got all of the information and all of that. So I'm okay with it, and he goes, I'm not here to stop or hinder you. I just want, I suppose what I'm saying is that if you stuck a timeline to it, and then people can put their hand up if you have got things that you need, or things what you want from us, so we can support you. I'm support of the whole thing in general, and as I've said, I've shown my limits and my restrictions of what I can do, which isn't in support at the moment. But I suppose for the people who are listening, do you have the people that you need, or is there gaps you need to be filled that we might be able to utilize? And I suppose that's what I'm trying to ask to help move forward.
good answer.
Sure.
Just good answer. So Andy is right in a sense that this has evolved, and the people following us have to learn quite fast and pick up and take this along, because we can only set it up. And so what's your name again?
Hemi.
Takimoana. Yeah, Hemi. Takimoana. I know Takimoana on TT blocks. I've got the titles here under the Uchitonga titles for the block. So you're very well in the right place to talk to that land, and I'm confident in that, is to get to everybody who is going to learn and pick up and do something now, like organize and get a timeline of events to do, and get prepared for a date that we should be there, and the finance. I thought about crowdfunding, the operation, the whole thing, because when I went to England, we had to, with Andy, had to scramble around and raise the money through people who supported what we are doing. And we're back at that stage again. We need funding. We need someone to look after that out of this group. I'm inviting the old people. They listen, but they can't at their age. I'm talking about the taumata and the older people, the elders we call them. Got to leave it to the young people to keep things motivated from this point on. So we must get an administration going where this group can start putting things together. I'm here to find out exactly the people to do that, and I'm here to run the hui and to make sure we achieve what we're setting out to do. Alfred does the legal stuff in courts, and I do all the land titles and things I'm familiar with in my profession. And you've got the other people who can do office skills and typing and things like that, and like Hemi can put his hand forward and start to implement something coming from Waitangi, coming from there, because we want to keep. We always kept, Alfred and I always kept religiously going back to Waitangi to check with the taumata and the chiefs, but that has something has eroded in time because they didn't understand what the situation is to fix, and I wasn't getting listened to. So now they might listen if they hear what we have to offer to try and diffuse this going on forever situation of battling against the little crown when we've got a big crown with the flag. We're going straight to the top and put ourselves and mirror ourselves around the little crown in Wellington, because they're only a business, and we put a business together and all agree on it. And this is coming from Baki as well, because they're with us. We're all in the same boat, and everybody else around the world in the same boat as well. How will follow this and support us, because the more support we get from those people to try and save of their country before it goes to the elite people, the cabal and so forth, then we have to join in together from one place that where all this business, the corporation's business, is running from Waitangi Marae, believe it or not. That's where the Queen has her right to the land and the people, our own people who are helping the little crown and forgetting about us. I'm talking about everybody in the country that's up against the government, that's not thinking of us, but their own selves. And so that's a start, Hemi. You've got the right idea. So that's what we want to do here, and follow through, and put our names forward. Anybody that's of any age, but as long as they've got the passion and the drive, and some experience, or to take up a position. And I think between 6 and 10 people is enough to go to Westminster, or 6 even. I picked that number because when we were in Westminster, we had 12. And when we went into the Supreme Court to do our own native court hearing in the building on the Westminster property. But you set us up to go into Parliament, Andy, and we had the right to go in there, but something changed it. And we weren't able to get our flag into Parliament and to get something done about it. But that's gone now. We just get ourselves fired up and share the documents, share the information, because of Alfred and I have done all this work for nothing, just like all the other people at Waitangi. We go there every year. They're doing it for nothing, and trying to put things together for something like this. The time is right now to do things, because the crown, the big crown at the moment, is falling apart, and in the whole world under the Rothschild and that side of the coin. And so we're here to make the most out of the time we've got left before Willie Jackson sells us off with the flag into the United Nations, and it's gone forevermore. So that's looking at the corporate side of things that's driving this beast that we have to pick up fast, forget about the past arguing and things like that, and get on with the work and focus on one thing at a time. So now I'm just going to carry on. We can have questions afterwards when I've made my presentation and Alfred made his presentations. We can have a discussion period afterwards, but we didn't want to go on like the 8 hours and 25 minutes in the first Zoom hearing. or not hearing, but meeting, and didn't achieve too much out of it because we had not much time for ours to put our story across before Kate nicely put her story across in coming from our Australian point of view, and supporting those directions in where she wants to go and take Europeans and Maori. And so we're going to take the direct approach and try and get some results out of every hui we have online. And this is the best way to do a hui. Saves all the money and all the traveling and expense of hiring a marae and paying for it and all the rest of it. This is the best way in the comforts of your living room, and people can be comfortable in talking and take the time to do it and construct something. So I'm now going to go back. I'll just get my other phone going and carry on and go through what I want to say. It won't take too much time. So I'll carry on with what I was saying before. So I got as far as I decided, with this one exception, that we will only stick to the agenda for anyone who wants to speak or have the experience in these matters. And we don't want anyone who can't represent the HAPU. We're talking about the HAPU, not the iwi. Just everything I do has always been HAPU. And so every document we do from now on will stay in the hands of the HAPU and Europeans joined together in that sense, who knows this agenda and can be our evidence delegation to go to the Westminster Court and Parliament. Raise your hand in the meeting on Zoom if you fit this criteria, or if you want to say anything, or if you will be muted. You'll be muted, as we have a short time to organise a corporation company. That's the company we've already got registered. So that's a company we're going with, the original Ngā Atua or Atua EFA, Four Corners of New Zealand, and we stick to that to go up against the beast with a corporation versus a corporation. That's the way to do it, Andy, in business, and you can bankrupt them or do anything, but you can't standing on a marae and talking without any of that to match their corporate. It's too big. So raise your hand and say what you want to say, and don't take too much time up, so we don't carry on too long. So we've only got a short time to organise that, and a business administration of chiefs to go to Westminster, and it could be women as well, to take up. It's what you know is what happens. The qualification for this is what you know that matters very much. To go to Westminster to save our country and other countries that will follow our government's precedent case, New World Order, EU, NATO, UN takeover of their countries after us as guinea pigs. So that's that. And now I'll go to the rules of every meeting from now on. We have, Andy, we'll have regular meetings as we get prepared for each one, so there won't be any time wasting, and we'll know what we're going to stick to. We can change whatever there is, but I'm focusing on keeping the Maori side of this separate from the Moai side, or Maui. So those are names we put forward to see from the people watching around the world how we construct this successfully together with Europeans and other races of people that will accept it as well. We need numbers behind us in New Zealand to have another alternative way of running ourselves and keeping our wealth to ourselves. So the rules of the Zoom meetings, I'm sorry if anybody gets offended by what I write down, but that's the fact. That's the beast wants to stick to what they know and what they don't know. And so I'm telling you something that not most people would know how to better tackle it, the problem. We won't allow any discussion on churches, religion, Satan or God, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, whakapapa, tikanga law, Maori, iwi, arguments and games, emotions, 1840 treaty or claims, distractions from the agenda, host and me, foul language and abuse, racism and offensive remarks about us and the agenda. So those are the highlights of trying to keep the two corporations separate. Our corporation and that corporation in Wellington that belongs and owned by the Crown, the little Crown of Jacinda Ardern. So there we put our company for the HAPU up against them. One company, that's all you need, one company. Racism, bring back, we're on 16 now, bringing a group of stirrers on that I can tell will get the mute button. Kate Floss, I'm saying her because she's takes over the whole place and not give anybody a chance. No offense against you, Kate, but that's a reflection that people will decide from what they see and learn from, and from what you're doing and sticking to it. So that's good luck to you in the court hearing, but keep on what you're doing for the country. And group talking about the Queen on this Zoom meeting, we're talking about kings, not queens, to the flag. You all had your time on the last Zoom meeting, took over in 8 hours, 25 minutes flat out, not this time. We don't want to, although one day we'll let you come back and then talk, but that's after your court hearing of any successes that you may have. I warn you that you will be muted or removed if you are not experienced at land, real estate, maritime law, admiralty law, commercial law, contract law, business, administration in land and crown matters, native magistrate courts, flag jurisdiction, and a whole lot more to let others in if numbers are too high on the Zoom. And we've got people talking over each other and a lot of hands going up. So we're in a nice bunch tonight with a manageable amount of people. Although I've had about 50 people I sent invites out to come on tonight. So that some wanted to watch the video and take it from there. So it's very important we get it right in our videos. The Zoom meeting is about the King's flag and King's corporate business. Crown origins before Queen Victoria and her Rothschild family hijacked King George IV, King Ernest Augustus IV, and the first, King Augustus V and King William IV Crown Corporation trading bank business with our native chiefs at Waitangi in the 1835 to 1840 period switch of the flags. That's when our country was running under this flag we have for 5 straight years without any problems, and until it was changed. 1994 Te Ture Whenua Act, we acknowledge that because that's come from Westminster. Anything straight from Westminster to New Zealand, we apply. So the HAPU can carry on with their incorporation business because that still falls in under this flag's corporation business. So we have to look at it as being not to protest it, but to trade. How the King gave it to us to trade in other countries and to use it for our own self-government and so on. It's a constitutional flag. Alfred can mention all that, but I know, but he can carry on in some of the legal matters. Andrew is inviting you to a scheduled Zoom meeting. Topic: Confederation of United Tribes of New Zealand flag jurisdiction. So I'm saying is this: it started off as the Confederation of Chiefs, or the whakamininga from Waitangi was for the Northern Chiefs. But when everything got corporatized, it went into a confederation, which was Mohi Manukau put the confederation together, to go around the whole country. And he's got memorial, we've got memorials I put on my site. It's a wooden carving from the Kaipara with the Parliament on it and the 4 main tribes that I can explain that one day how their own Parliament, they should have been using it at Waitangi, and that's what Mohi was trying to do all these years. And now I have to explain it and carry on that story of how the 4 tribes come together and run a business. That was it for, because Mohi and his Rogan family put the land titles together in Helensville for Auckland to build Auckland City, came from that Awaroa native court in Helensville to build Auckland from the Freemasons who put all the land titles and survey marks with Rogan. John Rogan was a surveyor and then became a judge. And then Mohi Manukau used to be holding the stick and the survey stick for his uncle. And so I picked all that experience from land titles out of that lot. So we go on to the meeting, Confederation, hang on, Tribes of New Zealand Jurisdiction agenda will be continued from the last 2 meetings. So we're keeping minutes on these hui for the Titi Marae to report back on minutes. So someone will scribe the minutes from the video and write it up so that we can tell them what we're doing. We can't go blindfolded with anyone who doesn't do their job. So we all got our own jobs. I've explained our job, and so Hemi will have his job if we decide that he can carry on doing that, because it sounds like he knows I've got a good voice on him to carry some of the things through to success. 2, flag meaning, 1, I'll start from 1, the agenda. I'll start on the agenda of 12 main items we've got to get through tonight for now, and carry on with it another time and split it all up. So the first one is the flag, the meaning, which I will explain one day, and the meaning and why it can't be lowered off the ship mast is still a live contract with the British Crown, the big Crown, sovereign and business partnership. So we have to action that. That's number 1. And number 2, memorial title to the land, legal documents. You must have that. The Little Crown in Wellington, their title is that obelisk standing beside Titi Marae. That is a land title to the country, is that memorial there. The other title they've got is their concrete moai on Lao Bay for the foreshore and seabed and the land that the Crown, Little Crown, says it owns. So your memorial is on the documents. They put it on their documents with their seals, and all this is like a myth that they've dreamt up everything they wanted to do with the land and claim that for their business, corporation business. And so we'll look into that with the real moai, Queen Elizabeth, put down in Dunedin with a hat on his head. That's the basket of knowledge and the means of her putting her documents over the country and amongst her Europeans that went down there and fashioned themselves, as there was more Maori, they called them, the natives, in fighting over land in the North Island, whereas the people from New Plymouth went down to South Island when they were chased off the land in New Plymouth, and they set themselves up there with the French. So all those things, I can talk to those titles one day. So hang on, I'll go back to number 2. So you must, with legal documents, instruments, you must have a memorial to the land, and you must have a flag or representation of jurisdiction with your documents, and you must have the man of the land, the man who will learn that he has all those 3 things, and he'll get his country back. Otherwise, it's in the hands of the iwi trustees. Like I said, they are the legal landowners, not the real landowners, the ones for the document. So we make ourselves exactly the same way and do the same thing back to them. Okay, so that's number one. Live contracts. The ship mast is still a live contract with Britain Crown Sovereign, the big Crown Sovereign, and business partnership. So we go straight into business, Amy. We go straight into business, and people who are business minded pick up that position, because I can't do all things, although I've been in business before as self-employed. That's another job for the younger generation and people who can do that role. Number two, memorial title to the land, legal documents, and historic connection to the chief man of the land. As Moai in Dunedin, we claimed that back because that was stolen for their Queen Elizabeth crown, ownership of the land, and everything that goes with the crown on its head. So the Queen Victoria put the Moai, the first one in 1868 in London, to claim the whole world and the land of the British Empire. So that's her memorial that we claim back as well, because we've already seen Moai returning to their native land, but we want that one left there until we take the certificate of title with it and be with. We are from the islands, Polynesian they call it. We are all Polynesians together, the Hawaiians, the Tahitians, the Samoans, the Tongans. We're all come under that jurisdiction of God's law. That's the real God, and his face, the mirror image of his face is in the Moai. And so we use that instrument for our documents. So we'll have people in this organization who are good at putting documents together to help Alfred put the land documents and all the rest of the documents together for courts, but especially for land transfer. You must do the same job as these people in LINs, land information, and set ourselves up. All I'm saying is we've got the instrument to make our own parliament with that carving of Mohi Manukau that I've got on my page. If you go there, you'll see him standing beside that memorial. That's his native memorial carved for his title over and above the Little Crown's titles. So you can see the difference in memorials it's going to do to a document if it's original and being taken from one place to the other. God said, build them in East Island, not over here, not put them in London, not put the obelisks in Egypt, Africa, into the Vatican and China, France and England and New Zealand and New York City, where all the corporations went. They took all those memorials for their ownership because they've got documents that claim it. So we make documents, perfect documents that claim us and our land back to us, everybody, and take the business back off that Little Crown and put it back in the big Crown and find who's going to succeed to the throne and work together back with those people in Britain and go back to normal under the common law for the people of the land. The memorials, titles, documents, historic connection to the chief man of the land, as Moai in Dunedin, and the rock memorial in the chiefs in Te Rawaikato, Wharehere Manukau at Pohara Marae, a pass site to Maungatautari Mountain in Cambridge. So that's where the Cambridge from England, the education came to the Cambridge in Hamilton. So Hamilton's a big mark on titles. It's not up north. The titles to the land, it happens in Waikato, under that chief Waikato, and the Manukau instruments as well. So those I put together with Mohi Manukau and travelled the land to mark out all these places for now. And so we'll pick up all of that and have the lessons for memorials, what they mean, and what one has jurisdiction or going back to our corporation that we set up. So someone will do the corporate business and carry it on from me, and because it doesn't belong to me. And so this all goes back to Waitangi. Everything leads back to Waitangi and that 1835 declaration of a sovereign nation, proclamation by King William IV in Westminster Direct. So that's number three. That's number two. Number three is the 1840 treaty documents with no British Crown printing watermark on the New South Wales and New Zealand documents. It's fraud. They switched the whole thing around when I just can't think of his name at the moment. Went to America, so America is connected to Waitangi, and there's this document, just using this document to their business in America to Britain to set up at that time with what they were doing at Waitangi, and no one knew what they were doing with the flag and what they were doing. This is since 1835. What they were doing with the flag, although the country was founded by King George IV in 1823 with Te Rawakato Wharehere Manukau, and all those titles, native titles, are in Glasgow in the archives and the courts there through the magistrate court. So you have to go back to the magistrate court records to find who had the right title to New Zealand. So that's what those are the ones I'm going under Mohi Manukau's family and the Pākehā side of the Rogan families that came from Australia and set up in Kaipara. Those titles for New Zealand. I'm going under the origins, and that's hard to beat. That's hard to get past, and people at Waitangi should know all this now in a hurry. And so I'm there to do that. The 1840 treaty documents, the watermark was the government printing press. The British government printing press had to have this taka 1840, not 1840, somewhere there anyway, seal to make it authentic. Now they switched the 1840 treaty documents that were signed had no watermark on it, so that makes it invalid. So it makes the whole treaty a fraud in the eyes of people, the Littlewood Treaty, and all those people who were battling against the right paperwork. So you have to have your paperwork right in order to make legal contract work. Okay, so that's one, identifying the document itself, authenticity of any document, legal document. Now, number 4, leased land property, collecting in the council as Municipalities Act 1835 of King William the IV, but I'm saying the Act of King William III that set up the municipalities in the first place with the 8-point star of St. Patrick out of Northern Ireland, and the church there where I went to unveil that gravesite. Wherever there's a gravesite, that's the memorial. Who's died there has the right to the land with his own birth certificates as being there the longest. And so that matters with memorials. And so in King William IV, 1835 Municipalities Act, with the 8-point star, that the Queen and all the monarchs wear it because it's the crown on the head, and that star that they created in Westminster with King William III of Orange, and use one of the parliaments. St. Patrick's father was a politician, and he wanted St. Patrick's to work in the Church of England, but he wouldn't. He said he's going to the poor country in Northern Ireland and look after them and create his own church. And that legacy I carry as well in my Rogan family and Cosgrove families from Northern Ireland, why I went there to justify all that side of the in immigrants in our family, and all the people from Britain here in New Zealand through the Westminster Parliament. So we go on to That's municipalities, the money from the land. You go to the money from the land and put it into the little crown and so forth. So that's one area that we go through as well. The money, what happens to the money from the land and the trust, our trust. We've got a Queen Victoria Trust. I won't talk about that tonight. And we've also got the Segregated Trust, and we've also got the interest and principal money going out of the land leases and taxes and all the rest of it that goes into our business. So we have a business to put our taxes into our business and use our own system of self-government, Section 71 of the 1852 Constitution. We use our instruments because of that. It's because our flag is still operating, flying on the mast, and that video that Dion Walker put together with the Navy officer is proof of that. He's justifying and proving for our documents that the Navy is responsible for raising flags or lowering them, and from Britain. So there, we've still got our flag intact at 1835 and taken away from us, but we go back to the laws previous to 1835 and apply them in our own self-government if they want to, and Parliament and all the rest of it. But the people must go with it as well. So it's an alternative to the government that's operating there at the moment. We have the right to go straight back and use the Acts of Parliament of King William III and King William IV, and under this flag's jurisdiction right at 1835, locked there forevermore. It was extant forevermore. That means it can't be changed. It can't be used for anything else other than our own way of using it for our business. So there, that's another lesson. So we'll go past that one now. The money goes to the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, which was the Akaroa Bank in the South Island in Christchurch. And that Akaroa Bank is still tied to the Reserve Bank, which the Little Crown and the corporate colonial private corporation government and their business took as if it was theirs and it belongs to us. So we that's what we have to get back into our own way of doing it through Britain, and use Britain to put the pressure on them and make them order them to hand it over and seize the whole lot of it, and we get to control what goes out of this country and land and trade around the world. That flag is in the whole four corners of the earth world. We allowed to travel right now with that flag once we get the legal put back in it in Britain and order this company dissolved, the government dissolved, because they are fraud and they're not helping us very much. And everything, the COVID and all the rest of it, taking money that people live hard earning into something they didn't want in the first place, and not looking after us with all those millions of dollars spending on advertising and pushing it through the Maori marae and making them get vaccinated. I won't talk about vaccination, and that this is not about that. So number 8 now, administration for the Chiefs Corporation Company. That's our own one we set up together at Waitangi, and take them on with that corporation company to take to Westminster Parliament and court hearing of the People's Ngā Atua e Wā Aotea Limited, Big Crown Corporation, against the Queen in right of New Zealand Little Crown Corporation, and dissolve the fraud government, Crown and Parliament, and install our own federal, because that's a federal state flag, government under Section 71 of the 1852 Constitution. We can go back to the 1846 Constitution. We already got an 1835 Constitution wrapped up in that flag if we look very closely at it. And so we can put all these instruments out and put them on the table, not take too long to talk about them, because there's no time to talk about anything, and just go and use them, start acting and use them effectively for our own good and use. So there, that and the Constitution, self-government under a federal state bank trading flag to Britain, UK jurisdiction. So a lot of things can happen. Number 9, Crown. The Crown, in brackets, of Westminster Parliament, Queen Elizabeth II, sitting on the throne where she should be, and abandoned the throne. She abandoned the throne and exiled to Scotland through the Brexit. Brexit means British exit from England to the European Union. I was battling up again and writing letters backwards and forwards, fighting the European Union for breaking up our British connection and British company and people that want to stay British. And we didn't like that happening, and it's starting to fall apart at the seams in the European Union. So that's for another day, but we're only concerned about what happens with all this power that we are missing out on for ourselves and our partners, the British Crown business. Number 9, Crown, Westminster Parliament, Queen Elizabeth II abandoned the throne and the Crown Corporation business, which is now wide open to the legitimate heir to the throne, Earnest Augustus. There's nobody taking the seat of the throne right now. The Queen can't sit on the throne anymore. So it's open slather of who goes in there. So I've got a proclamation to go back from the HAPU and the organization to proclaim that Ernest Augustus, the bloodline to King William IV and King George IV, brothers, and King Ernest Augustus, the first brother, the brothers, and King Ernest Augustus was the oldest brother, and so that was a tuakanga. They put in King George V, this is the Rothschild, then to switch it over, so because he only stayed in there as a crown for only a less than a year, and then they wanted to change the succession quickly into King George VI, so that it'll land up on Queen Elizabeth II, and they have control off the king. So they deliberately maneuvered or altered the documents and put King George V in, the younger brother, the Taina, into power and to take the crown and the money and the wealth and everything right till today. That's how that eventuated. Although Queen Victoria put her hand on the scone as a and got coronated, then like King William IV got coronated too. So those are legitimate instruments that solidifies the crown and this corporation business. And like I'm saying, King William III set up the corporation business in our modern times, and the way of taking countries over and pull out the wealth for their crown, the big crown. So we are still in business with that big crown. That's what I'm trying to say here. Oops, my computer went down. Hang on, right, back again. And so we have a claim to that, not the treaty claims less than 1% shell out from this government, not those treaty claims. That's less than the value of the land. And so we go back to 100% of the land to the people. And so if we all think that's a better idea, then we go with the idea and do it. Let's just do it before it's too late and those people steal everything and the flag with it. So that's it. That's the succession to the throne. We proclaim as to the bloodlines king and of Britain, UK, and Hanover was already the king of Britain and UK, but they took his kingship. The Queen took his kingship away from him in legislation statute acts. I got all that as well. So that was fraudulent in the government. Everything the government and the Queen's touches is corrupted. Everything.
You've muted yourself, John.
Push the button. Oh, well. So 10, the United Nations threat. That's another big one. We only got 2 more left. United Nations threat with the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, WEF World Economic Forum member, and iwi Maori trustees at Waitangi Marae giving away the mana or the power of the HAPU to Jacinda Ardern and her little corporate, because they got corporates as well. So the corporates of the Little Crown under Queen Elizabeth II are catering to their own personal needs and their own companies to further their own wealth. And so that's why in Waitangi Marae holds the Queen's business, not in England, but in Waitangi Marae for her Maori people. Like I said, that word was invented in the English language for her Maori land, so she can steal the Maori land that belongs to her in the first place. And that's what the certificate title paper. It's a piece of paper that belongs to them. We get our own paper titles. I'll put that together, the paper titles that go over the top of it and are more superior to a paper title over the land. So those are some of the things that the young people have to learn fast, and I'll be quite happy to put on lessons one day and to teach people so they can teach themselves what went wrong with their land. It's just bits of paper, that's all it is. Now the trustees are the legal landowners in their system, and so so that's how they do it, to keep control of the HAPU and at Waitangi Marae, and fly their flag up the top instead of our flag. And the Navy looks after them when they should be looking after us, but we don't pay their wages in the Navy. That's what I got told by the Navy themselves. That's why they can't help us to anything we do with getting land back. So it was a dead horse for us, and we had to go to the tribunal to get decisions made by the Pākehā without us. And so that was another thing that we couldn't win under, going into a court bench bank, a Queen's Bench Court, when we've got our own King's Bench Court made silent. And so we're going to England to liven up our King's Bench Court, Magistrate Court, like the original magistrates on the ship was the captain. He became the court on the ship when he stepped on the land and said it belonged to the king. And the Maori, like they say, chopped the flagpole down. There was no marriage in 1835 or 1840. There was only natives. But the stories they put together in their documents is what everybody believes to be true, when in fact it's not true if you've got the evidence to show that there was no such thing and put it down to a myth. Of an illusion. They created the illusion and then they multiplied it through the world through the illusion of this Waitangi Marae tribe. The Ngāti Whātua tribe, it belongs to the Crown, the Little Crown in Wellington. They put that together for their title in Kaipara. They put that and brought it into Auckland, then took over Auckland, and then took it to Wellington, and then took over the whole place. So all of that, I have all that locked up, and one day pull it out and put it. But we go for the jugular and go straight to the source to sort that out without having to refer back to old titles. Just go and claim the whole lot and talk to the British. They know they've got a record there. They've got it in the magistrate courts there, and they've got it in Glasgow. All our titles here are there. So that's why I wanted to go there, to go and search them and check that the Waikato title is the true title, the King George IV, 1823, and Te Waikato Wharehere, the Manukau title, is the true title to New Zealand, the whole country. One title, not a whole little bunch of lands here, bit of Maori there, bit of European there, bit of general land there. All those things were done to split the Maori up that they created in the first place. So that's the story of itself that we want to forget about. We want to forget about that. That's in the past. We want to get into the future and take our young people to carry on and live a better life in the world. This is in Britain, even in the world that's not looking good on that side of the coin, of the crown. So the crown has been bastardized and wrecked to bits because they were after the money, not the crown. They were after the money. And now the Queen's gone and never to return, and left the place empty and took the money into her own family. And who knows, the money could be in Germany, locked up in a Swiss bank, somewhere else, out of the country of Britain, and left in debt. Left every country in the Commonwealth in debt. And so to get it all out of debt, we go back to England to put the debt back on them and take all their property and everything. That's why I put all those seizure warrants together, Andy, and the website on my Facebook site to set up the courts online and do it. We'll do that in our own court one day soon. And so that's all this is where we should be going now, as a model for every other country to follow the same thing. So yeah, that's that. Jacinda Ardern, the church to make Jacinda number 10, United Nations threat with Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, World Economic Forum member, and the iwi Maori trustees at Waitangi Marae, King Tuheitia. These are the three things that go for the King Tuheitia and Ratana Church, Federation of Maori Authorities, and Te Puni Kokiri, and the Governor General Cindy Kiro, to take over our country with the United Nations and Vatican Catholic Church and make us refugees with our own land and human rights laws taken off us and make us own nothing and be happy under the New World Order government control forever, in New Zealand being the first country captured with our native customary land titles and whakapapa genealogy links to our lands, and modelling through the world of all the other native countries and doing the same thing with this title here. And stealing our 1835 Declaration of Independence nation flag that the Waitangi Marae Iwi Corporation trustees are allowing Jacinda Ardern and Willie Jackson pirates on the high seas, that's what we call them, to take it to the United Nations without our HAPU, rangatira, and Confederation of Chiefs express signed legal inheritance documents to the Crown permission, the big Crown permission. So that is why we need to take the original land title transfer memorials and land deeds to New Zealand original Manukau King George IV sale and purchase contract in 1823 to Westminster Magistrates Court and Parliament to claim back the whole country as one title and shut the up and seize their paper certificates and throw them into the Sea of Admiralty with our 1835 King William IV land, maritime law and land British Crown protectorate flag of jurisdiction before they hijack it and run off to the United Nations with it. That's why we can't fool around and waste time with non-important talk, but a talk of the Crown, corporations, beasts, so that we mirror them like they mirror us as a corporation too, and mean serious business, no small time talk. We have a group of supporters waiting in Britain for us from when I went on my own in 2019, so this will free them up as well. And we have people in Australia, Canada, America, Europe waiting for this chance, last chance, to save everyone, their lands, resources, and human rights in country from the cabal, Lucifer, Nazi beast. So I'm naming names like this for.
You've muted again, John. You've muted, John.
Oh, okay, my hand went over. Hapu rangatira. The rangatira are very important because they're the up and coming people who take the place of the the older elders, and like Manahi Mohini, he's been with us in the Native Magistrate Court at Waitangi, and certify the papers as a justice of the peace. So the magistrate courts go together with a justice of the peace to seal the documents that we have, and he sealed our documents from the church side as well. He's a Ratana church, but the thing is this: he does all the prayers, the karakia prayers, over our documents to give them spirit and the elements of God from man, and talk to the land and our people in front of Waitangi. So there, we've been through all of that process to solidify our position to the Big Crown in Britain. So the Natives King's Bench Magistrate Court with me and deceased Selwyn Clark at Taurangatira, that's the memorials, the carving memorials at Te Ture Marae in the paddock, where they all signed their documents to the native customary land ownership title. I hold these there from Hare Utatonga, who was in the Confederation member at the same time as me and Alfred. He was in the Confederation from Waitangi with the Utatonga title right over the Bay of Islands. I've got that one title sitting down at my home in the East Coast, Te Ture. So I give that back to the people. To when we go to England, I put that title to one title to the whole of the Bay of Islands came out of that one certificate of title. It's all black and white. And so that takes over the marae, Waitangi marae, and every bit of land there, what Kingi Taurua, the chief that signed all my documents as the chief of Ngā Pui while he was alive. And so that there is on videos and everything to go with our instruments to take to claim back the whole marae, and that marae was made from my carvers from my place in Ngāti Pro, put that all together in that marae. So I have a place there as being part of the memorials from our own maraes, hand carving to the place, other than our connection to Mohi Manukau from the Kaipara and all the land that he showed me, all the title memorials and of the sites around the Bay of Islands, and all of that in those early day titles before anybody had titles on the place. So those all go back to Waitangi. It's not mine. I'm holding on to these treasures, taonga, what they call it, for this moment in time to put together with the people. And no more crying at Waitangi. Is that what it means? Crying waters. What's this? Customary land ownership title I hold there, and the Confederation. The Confederation put all these together before they constructed the 1986 Constitution. This is when Mohi Manukau, the president of the Confederation, put all these documents together to take to Waitangi and challenge the 1986 Constitution, but no one was listening to him, and no one's been listening to me at Waitangi all this time at all. Only Chief Kingi Taurua and the old elders that signed my documents in the native court signed my documents and supported me. All the rest of them were colonized, and they followed the government and the trustees. And
well, they're taking the 30 pieces of silver.
yeah, so they've been paid off to keep us away from the original Confederation that still carries on with that Confederation flag. And Hohepa Epiha, these are the ones that were in the Waitangi marae itself, against anybody saying to me I couldn't go in there and have a hearing or a meeting with Kingi Taurua and Hohepa Epiha, William Peter, and Chief Kingi Taurua and Alfred James Mitchell and myself and a few others that went in there. to speak inside the marae with our documents and things like that. But it's the presence of being there and the spiritual part of it that went with the documents. So there, that's that bit we talk about, because this is Ngā Pui's talk. This is what I'm bringing to Ngā Pui. I'm returning a lot of things back to Ngā Pui that will bring their people back together and talk about these things and then fix it up. Number 12, the last one, is a European businessman and woman who wish to go to with the delegation to Westminster Parliament and Magistrate Court with all this land title information to show the British Crown our true titles and memorials to the land of New Zealand. The New Zealand government hasn't refuted. So we follow the ship backwards, follow the money back to Westminster Parliament. That's a catch cry there of how we prepare ourselves for this event with this one of these topics to talk about before we do anything about it. Warning: we are only looking for experienced people in real estate and commercial contracts and lineage to the land whakapapa, to the HAPU and chiefs who signed the Declaration of Independence flag and not the fraudulent 1840 Treaty of Waitangi documents, and the King William IV counterfeit 5-point star flag of no jurisdiction over the 8-point star flag jurisdiction and continuity of sovereignty from the 28th of October 1835 to the 30th of April today. Zoom meeting minutes for this court record, for this record to take into the court. So I want to make sure this goes down in history in the making for bringing together everybody to understand where we're coming from as a confederation, and updated one. There's people in the confederation in Ngā Pui, but they don't go this deep into everything that has stopped them from getting anywhere. I will now publish the code on my Facebook page to bring the people who are experienced with commercial contract law, corporate business, crown and land title transfer, memorial titles, legal instruments, background, timeline of events to the founding of New Zealand and the correct flag jurisdiction from Britain, UK, and not from New Zealand or Australia flag jurisdiction. You must have land title memorials in your documents to win a court case and have your European and New Zealand born connection to the land and area where you reside and speak of. When I'm saying someone is qualified to come into this as representing the people of New Zealand, they are knowledgeable. It didn't really have to be someone who's too clever about something and not clever enough about something else. We just select that amongst ourselves in our discussions, who goes and does the job. So someone younger could know a lot. They've done the research, and I've already got some people, friends now who are young and are interested. They're interested in this history to learn to take our place. So there, that's a lesson for another day in succession planning. Yeah, succession planning in a hurry. Anyone who has a birth certificate in New Zealand can message me for the code on. I'm just talking about getting into the meeting and speak or watch the meeting we bring on to support the meeting with view of going to Westminster Magistrate Court with a group of about 6 in the court case with this flag and experienced backup crew. Like you need people to do it, and so we'll talk about that and put it together. People who know land titles and all the rest of it, and people who can do it and will attempt to do it, but will always get scathed for not being certified for doing a job when government has the certificates to do any of this work. They can't tell us what to do in our own native courts. at 1835. They can't overrun us with an 1840 treaty over a founding of New Zealand. What do? They found a country in 1835. The king did found a country and put it on record in Britain. They'll vouch for that because the flag cemented that founding document. And the flag is a document, a legal instrument itself in founding New Zealand. And then the idiots and lunatics went ahead and found the country again and put in the 40 treaty and their memorials and their flag as founding New Zealand. 1840 found New Zealand after the fact. That's stupid. But we have to go and prove it. We have to go and prove it that it was already found, and it was flying a flag for 5 years successfully, because before the Rothschilds schemed up this plan to take the whole place out and teach these people here and the Maoris to put another flag up and take the King's flag down halfway down the mast and put it hanging above opposite the British flag and say it's still up on the flagpole when it should be at the top. They put it halfway down and design their own way through Australia and Queen Victoria to put their flag, pseudonym flag or counterfeit flag or de facto flag up the top and take pole position, Andy. So that's that part we have to get through. Please ask me for the code to come in from any meetings we have now. I'll hold the code and we will keep it because anybody from anywhere can come in and run the show and take over and change it from its original position. So that's why we limit the meeting so that it doesn't drag on too long. And successful meetings, when we get to a stage, won't be that long because everybody will know what they're doing. And the meetings would be to spread throughout the HAPUs in the country and the people of New Zealand what the hell we're doing and do we know what we're doing. So they'll say, we don't know what we're doing, but with the right people, we know what we're doing. And before we go to England, so they know we know a thing or two, and they'll listen to us and our own story for once in a blue moon at 6 p.m. So that's the HAPU leaders discussion over New Zealand country. Bullet points cover the meeting. So we go on, and so we go into the flag now at this time, and with Dilip Rupa that Kate Floss hates. She's got this hate in all her about him and his truth, and the European research finder researched this flag out and researched the right flag with a European saying that is the correct flag is another angle for another day. But the thing is, we didn't have to try hard about justifying it because it's still the Navy that won't talk to us until we get the British side of the flag sorted before they'll help us and tell the government where to go. So that's that wonderful video of Dan Hermanson explaining it in full, and the black seal line that I call there as a protectorate from British Crown military in the sea, in the sea or wherever that flag goes in the world, on the land and the sea, because it's a land and sea flag of the Navy, and protect us with our business that we're going to set up now, with the use of this instrument, like how it was set up for in the first place. Now, our chiefs and sisters will turn in their grave when they see what has happened to it after their hard work putting together to go to the king to ask for protection of trade, and the government goes and spins it around and puts it down a little bit, not right down, and put their one up. So those things are well explained in that video. We didn't need to go any much further with that. And then I go down to the last minutes or video below it, And that's all I wanted to say at this stage, Andy, until a little later I can come back and say something. But now I'm going to pass it over to Alfred.
Yeah.
I'll give him a minute to go away and come back again. So I'll just say this, that people might not like what I say, but the reality is a fact that Maori have been set up. They're being conned into parting with their land and being hoodwinked into thinking they're going to get it back, and they're going to
Muted again, John.
my hand on the end of it. And so that hasn't happened yet. So something drastic has to happen now. And so this is the means of doing it. And I think I've explained that you needed the flag, the memorial, and the right documents to go with it in order for the British to listen to you, and the man and the right person to speak. So we have someone fluent in tikanga law and Maori to do the karakia prayers when we go to England. So you must have the minister to go walk into the Church of England and do all his job, and I go do my job, and Hebe go and do his job, Alfred do his job, and the women do their job, and who knows, one might be a lawyer. Hopefully we'll get a good lawyer out of this, one reformed lawyer, to change onto the King's Bench side, getting prepared. We're preparing ourselves for the comeback of a King's Bench court from a dead Queen's Bench court, that there's nobody on the throne to take over from Queen Elizabeth because she refuses to let anybody take her place or abdicate to Prince Charles. So I think that's a dead duck already. No queen to abdicate. You can't legally abdicate and put your crown on another of your heirs and successors if you're not there, Andy. So there's a legal point to ponder about for some people who won't be able to sleep tonight in Ngāpuhi, and going over that lot, and who's going to succeed to take this big crown on our behalf, on the other half of it, over. So there, Alfred's back now, so he might be in a position to have a little say as a member of the Confederation to keep us going on that side of the ledger. So Alfred, you carry on. I'll hold the camera for you.
Yeah. Can you just set that up there?
Yeah.
Because
I want to keep the battery going,
okay.
and so I've got to hold it in my hand because the cable is small,
Okay.
so I can put it in the sun so that you can put your I'll try and keep it still in my old age without shaking too much.
Yeah.
And you can explain things at that angle there.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm holding up. This is the research that both. If you've seen the Dan Hermanson video, it's speaking about this matter here. That Dilip Rupa, Tin Chan worked with myself, and I actually served. These are the instruments that I actually served on the Governor General Jerry Mataparai, and we received a response from the Queen, and basically they've done nothing. They've absolutely done nothing about it. But anyway, if you it actually mentions on the second page. This is what this complaint was. How was the fact that there was actually a British reporter that came to this country and did a report with the TV New Zealand, and they made reference to our flag, our 1835 flag, and the complaint that Dilip Rupa, when he wrote to the Broadcasting Standard Association, was was the fact that he questioned the fact that they actually spoke about the wrong flag. They actually spoke about the five-pointed flag, the one that was fimbriated in white, and that was the basis of the research. And here, TVNZ referred to their website regarding this flag, our flag, the eight-pointed fimbriated and black flag. And what it states here is that they got the complaints committee does not agree that this is the case. In other words, they were trying to defend the five-pointed flag as our flag, and so they showed this. Website, put this up on the website showing our flag, but what it reads is here: the version of the United Tribes flag is the one that you believe is the correct version. Actually, this is known as the unofficial version of the United Tribes flag. This was the initial 1834 design for the United Tribes flag. So in other words, notwithstanding the evidence that I had put up about the James Busby sketch, that clearly shows that the flag that the chiefs actually chose was actually the one that had 8 points and fimbriated in black, not the flag that TV New Zealand say that they consider as the official flag. And they made their own opinion that our flag is unofficial, and that our people had to have a flag that they chose for us. Now on page 3 of this document, TVNZ came back and alluded to this website here, and in this website it shows there the five-pointed in the canton and the small St. George cross fimbriated in white. Okay, and what they say about it is this version, this is in the website, it says this in the website that they alluded us to. This version of the United Tribes flag is known as the amended flag of the United Tribes of New Zealand. And the question is, amended by who? Not amended by our chiefs. So we consider as they amending our flag as counterfeiting. Okay, now the New Zealand's first flag gazetted in 1835 and based on the design selected in 1834. So that's what they say they based the amendment on. But the thing is that they implying it was amended, we say that they amending our flag is counterfeiting, and hence the reason why we say that the whole treaty was fraud. And our people have been echoing that mantra before the 1975 Land March. That was a mantra that the treaty was a fraud. And so our people have been saying this for 50 years plus. Now, as it further says, the altered version of the flag served as the de facto national flag of New Zealand. That is right. It is a counterfeit flag. De facto is in banking language, because it's a banking flag, it's counterfeit. And so it says that this altered version of the flag served as the de facto national flag of New Zealand from 1835 until the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi in February 1840. So it's actually a confirming that this flag was flying at Waitangi on the flagstaff of the 6th of February 1840, which is a bait and switch, because in other words, they've admitted our flag, constitutional banking flag, was not on the flagstaff on the 6th of February 1840. Now, people may ask the question, well, why didn't the chiefs do something on the 6th of February if that was the case? Well, what people don't realise is that the flagstaff that the British Navy had flown on their flagstaff that they erected on Maiki Hill, which is Kororareka, is actually across the Waitangi harbour, and from where the treaty grounds is, you actually need a pair of binoculars to see that flagstaff. So, you know, unless our people had binoculars on the 6th of February 1840, they would not have known what the it was probably the New South Wales British Navy that did this, or the City of London Navy that did this. But it is a fact that that flagstaff that they raised while they were doing the treaty on the other side of the harbour, that flag did not have our King William IV King Court Bench flag on it on the 6th of February 1840. So therefore, we say that what they did was they used a de facto counterfeit flag that they say is de facto, and what they did is on the 6th of February 1840, they lowered that counterfeit flag and raised the Union Jack up and claimed their sovereignty was ceded. But if you read a lot of the British records, Westminster records, they do not say that. That's coming from the people in this country and the people in Australia that are claiming all of these things. Because if you research deeper into it, especially notwithstanding the 6th of February 1840 treaty, it's got here, and I'll show you this gazette here. Notwithstanding that, and this is coming from Britain themselves, they're saying that it says, on the contrary, the government of England, it's got in here, has recognised every petty tribe in New Zealand as an independent power, foreign power. They did not consider there was that our chiefs ceded sovereignty to Queen Victoria, and what I'm saying is it's the people, it's the British people that came here that are saying these things. Just like it's the British people that arrived over in Australia are claiming these things. See, because what they have been doing, this country has been operating from Sydney, the New South Wales government from Sydney. But the thing is this, what jurisdiction and authority did they have even operating from Australia, on Australia soil? There was no treaty with them and the Aborigines over there anyway, because if you refer to the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act by Queen Victoria, she hasn't actually mentioned the Aborigines from over that side of the ditch, as well as the Aborigines in this side of the ditch are not included in that Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900. So where it has reference to clause 6 in that imperial enactment, it includes New Zealand. Okay, it doesn't say it includes Aotearoa, and it includes New Zealand. And New Zealand is, and like I have referred to the federal case in Queensland. Okay, they held in that case, and and I have put that up on Facebook many times, that and that was in the Munrabi, I don't know how to say it in the Aboriginal language, on behalf of the combined Mandingal Bay and Yuninji People versus State of Australia, Queensland, 2012, Federal Court of Australia. And what it held is native title is held with the Yuninji people, including Yuninji aren't Australians. Yuninji own the land under their own laws, which is not Australian law. That is, native title is held by the Yuninji people. Now, it says, the other fourth point was, it held that Yuninji have another law system that's older than Australia's. So if Yuninji own their land, what do Australians own? So if Yuninji have their law, what do Australians have? So that, so if the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900 has excluded the Aborigines across the other side of the ditch as well as we, so therefore it's that landmark case is like saying that native title is held by the Ngāpuhi people up north, where the treaty was signed. It's just like saying that the Ngāpuhi people aren't New Zealanders. It's like saying that the Ngāpuhi people own the land under their own laws, which is not New Zealand law. That is the native title is held with the Ngāpuhi people, not with the New Zealand government, or not with Queen Victoria or anyone else. And so the other point is, it states there, it's just like saying that Ngāpuhi people have another law system that's older than New Zealand. It's just like saying Ngāpuhi people own their own land. What do New Zealanders own? Is the question. No different than what do Australians own. So if the Ngāpuhi people where Waitangi is have their law, what do New Zealanders have? So actually that blows the whole thing about the what a colony is. Like I say, that basically New Zealand, Australia, like Canada, and they're all artificial jurisdiction. They have no international personalities whatsoever. This is exposing the whole storeland and it was no secret because the bankers had come out in the Wizard of Oz movie in 1838 and more or less really informed the whole world how they have duped the whole world, really, through and we know that that was the reason why the bankers had pushed for this fiat currency, to deceive the whole people, everyone on this planet. And we know, as you know, that any government that refuses to accept that currency, the Federal Reserve notes, which the federal government is owned by the City of London, well, people and nations have been taken out by war. So if this flag, if this King's Court Bench flag can help save the world, through all these wars and all this and all that, because I know they're using this flag against the people. Well, it's what John and I want to achieve is to reclaim that flag and use it for benevolent purposes, not malevolent purposes. And if we can achieve that, then we can achieve this for not only the entire Commonwealth, but for the whole world, really. Yeah. if anyone's got any questions, because we've got piles and piles of documentation and all this and all that, you know, we can spend weeks on this, but we haven't got time, you know. Yeah. I don't know if anyone has seen this article, the article from the Tonga News. There's two articles. I can try and find a way to email it to you, Andrew, and you can disperse it out to everyone. Have you seen this article, Andrew?
No,
I've been speaking.
no. If you send me that, I can add it into pictures.
This article we've been speaking about for a long time. It was in 2010. This was the same year that Dilip Rupa, Tin Chan, and myself were working on this with the TV New Zealand broadcasting, and with the minister, we researched stuff through the Ministry of Heritage and Culture. That was how we got our evidence. I don't know if basically what this article has stated is this. And I'm going to over here. I'm going to read on this last section of this article. So basically, it says that the flag in the New Zealand courtrooms today herald a jurisdiction that has no relationship to the founding document signed by the New Zealand native chiefs in 1835. The flag in the New Zealand courtroom, the official seal of the court, the seal of Parliament, and the seal of the police all bear no relevance to the 1835 sovereign national flag proclaimed by King William IV. The question arises, what was the founding document signed by the New Zealand native chiefs on the 12th of June 1902 that allowed the current New Zealand flag to become the flag of the courts, including the seal for the courts, Parliament, and the police? So this was the question that was raised at the time we were challenging TV New Zealand, the Broadcasting Standards Association, and we were actually questioning the Minister of Culture and Heritage, and if you I think this is the same Gazette that Kate Cross showed, the Gazette. If you read the Gazette, there's no accurate description on this Gazette, and this is where it actually had duped our people for about 183 years. It duped our people because it says the description here of the flag: a red St. George cross on a white ground. To the first quarter, a red St. George cross on a blue ground, pierced with 4 white stars. It doesn't say how many points in the stars deliberately, and it hasn't mentioned the color of the fimbriation deliberately. So most people looking at this assume this was the Gazette for our flag. Well, our people had assumed that this Gazette was for this flag, but we found out by research that Gazette was for this flag, the one that they altered, the counterfeit flag. So therefore, fraud vitiates all contracts, and so the only way to fix up the mess is go back to the original fraud, the original counterfeit, which took place on the 6th of February 1840. So that's all I have to say, unless people want to ask questions, and I can speak about other matters, or John can speak about other matters. Yeah.
So that's what we'll do now, Andy. We'll open it to people who are there, and to ask any questions to the our agenda, so we can see where to from there.
Anybody wants to speak? Anyone wants to put their hand up to speak? So basically, I mean, my version of cutting it down in layman's terms is what's being pointed out here is the obvious switch. There's a switch of flags. So this is basically the clearing up of it all. This is the whole nuts and the crust of it all, is which is the true flag? Which is the true flag? That's it, really. And where is the proof for it? Anybody want to? Anybody have any questions?
No question, but I've got a bit of good information. I rang the police on Thursday to try to get me flag and flagpole back, to be told the flag and the flagpole are going to be used in a court case.
Excellent.
I think you know what happened, Andy, that my car got smashed up with the flag and the flagpole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now that's going to be used in court as evidence. So the flag is actually getting into court.
So which? Yeah, go on, John.
Yeah,
Well, which flag are you talking about?
this one.
The 8-pointed star flag.
Okay, the one from Beige and Black.
Yeah, the black line, the black cross in it.
Frank, can you explain why the matter's in court? Can you explain, just so we know?
What happened was a few months ago, one of my neighbours, I had a bit of an altercation with him. He turned up the following day while I was in bed. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. He pulled the flagpole and the flag out of the stand and started smashing my car up. The police have turned up and they've taken the flag and the flagpole as evidence to be used in court. So when I'm going to be called to court, they're going to be asking, what is the flag? So it's time
Frank,
people knew. Yeah.
Frank, court is it?
It's Manchester Magistrates Court.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yep.
That's
good. Good on you.
So he's part of the group that
Yeah.
we put together when
Very good. Very good.
Test it out. We got to put it to the test.
Good. Yep.
we can also.
You fellows, Frank,
Good one.
you're part of this too, of that flag,
Good. Yeah.
and its jurisdiction dates us back to 1835 because it was never lowered to the ground and gone and put away. It still flies, so that means it's still connected to Britain, and you fellows there.
We have continued flying this 8-pointed flag ever since 1835. We haven't stopped flying it. Yeah, at the marae, on the grounds where the Treaty of Waitangi took place. You'll find that our people have been flying that flag there since 1835 every year.
Yeah, so the Navy puts it up at their own convenience, and the government that wants it put up for their iwi trustee legal owners, landowners over us, and so they usurped the damn thing and put it up the cross rung of opposite the British flag, which is a contract, commercial contract together, and then they take it back down and put it away until the next time, like Waitangi Day, and put it back up again. 1 year that I've been there, it was put to the top, and the Union Jack lowered to the side rung on the flagpole, which is a British ship, and so it's being played around with, and so you're going to court, and it's landing up in the court, and it's probably a good omen that you're holding it there like Andy is, and to test it out. So we're really testing out that flag to see how it stacks up against the pseudonym flags in other countries or even in Britain. This flag should have been flying up in Britain as well. Being a King's flag, it should have been flying up in Westminster as well, as being the only King's flag in the world that from Westminster that it came out of. For us, a native, and they're using it here as a native connection to the people, and the people don't know. They're being robbed of its power of a king and use it for their corporate business. That's why they've gone and corrupted everything. The courts, a lot of them. And so with it sitting in court now as evidence, it probably might do something, although they've got Queen's Bench Court to make decisions when the King's Bench courts are silent. They haven't gone. They still use red robes as the King's Bench Court in the courts, between the black robes and the red robes. So the high courts are all red robes under this king. That's why I keep saying, well, someone over there is going to bust the thing right open, or we're going to bust it open here and show the fraud, and it'll end all fraud once and for all on the Queen's side of the bench, bank, and the Rothschild.
John, yeah, we don't have any red robe judges in this country. Okay, so what they do in the Supreme Court, they'll have red and black, you know. But the thing is that they don't have imperial jurisdiction. The courts, they're unconstitutional. They haven't even got a constitution. Now, I just want to mention about the the Boer War. I know people would have seen the Boer War medal that's got five-pointed got the five-pointed flag on it. Now, the thing is, if it was true, if Britain recognised that the treaty, that the chief ceded sovereignty to Queen Victoria, when they went to war, when this country went to war in 1899 to 1900 in South Africa, taking the United Tribes flag that they claim to, it's a United Tribes flag, over to that war, why would they take a flag that they say ceded jurisdiction on 6th of February 1840? If that five-pointed flag was, if the supposed constitutional jurisdiction was in their flag ceremony, had changed jurisdiction over to the Union Jack as the national flag of this country, in the opinion of the people in this country, who seem to run the narrative that the chief ceded sovereignty to Queen Victoria, if that was the case, then they would have been permitted to take the Union Jack over to South Africa as the national flag of this country, but they weren't. They weren't permitted to use that Union Jack flag. That's why they had to, in the spur of the moment, they realised they had no flag, and we said, "Oh well, that flag that was that we claim that was ceded in 6th of February 1840, we're now going to pull that out of the hidden closet, and we're going to take this to South Africa." And what happened when they came back? They started to discuss the matter. They decided that hey, we've got no flag. We had to borrow some flag that they claim ceded sovereignty to the Union Jack. If that Union Jack was supposed to be the national flag of this country, then they would have flown that over in South Africa. The fact that they weren't permitted to fly that Union Jack shows that according to Britain, they did not consider that that treaty represented that Britain that the chiefs ceded sovereignty to Britain, and so they had to. So basically, when they came back in 2000, no 1900, I mean 1900. It wasn't until after Queen Victoria died that they created this new flag of this new flag that they claim is a New Zealand flag, the current flag today, and they basically put created that new flag after Queen Victoria died. So what I'm saying is this was created the 12th of June 1902, after Queen Victoria's death. So when you're looking at this, is this, and this is how I look at the ledger here. This is the ledger, okay? This is our flag that the chiefs chose on the 20th of March 1834, and under the 21 gun salute of the Alligator. And this was not the flag that they hoisted up on the 6th of February 1840. So what happened on the 6th of February 1840, they went from this 5-pointed flag here. They transferred jurisdiction over to Union Jack, and then from there, 12th of June 1992, they did a flag change from there to this flag. Well, it's all counterfeit. This is all counterfeit, artificial, fraudulent jurisdiction, the whole lot. And so basically, this was put on behalf of the Confederation of Chiefs of Aotearoa. You know, we had Dillip. Well, I had Dillip, Rupert, and Tin Chan working under my portfolio to actually help out with this research. And so Dan, thankfully for Dan Hermanson, he's put this up, and we will stand by that what Dan Hermanson has put on his video. Notwithstanding that other people would disagree with it, like Kate Floss. Like I've said to Kate Floss when she wanted me to help her in her case in January, I said to her, once I found out that she was going with the 5-pointed, I said to her, well, I can't help her. I said to her that I can't help you try and bring our flag down. So I said to her, Kate, you do yours your way, and we the chiefs will do it our way. You know, so if she can find a way her way, well, yeah, we support her on that. But I said to her, I wasn't going to go her way and basically throw what we've done under the bus. Yeah.
So really, it boils down to they're calling their flag a king's flag from King William IV. Why would you put down a king's flag which had more jurisdiction to Westminster than this 5-point star that's nowhere to be seen over there? And it's all a myth to use that flag and then all of a sudden take its power away. But what's the purpose of using a king's flag when you're going to get rid of it and put another flag there and change it around all the time? It's a shifty move that's changes its spots like a leopard changes spots and not reliable to show another world where the king's flag is recognized through the world. Why change a flag that has jurisdiction to go around the world, free passage, and pull it down like their one, because they didn't care about it. That's why they pulled their own flag down, their make-believe one, and put the Union Jack up to hide that story and then make a new story. So change story, all of the narrative changes too much for anybody, but the people don't see what they're doing with it. Flags are very important because they have a history to go with their authority from the king in the first place, and the queen is only there for the crown and the throne and the wealth from succession to the king's hard work. And so they just playing around with flags. It's not one flag stays up for all time. Our flag is stuck in forever, extant forevermore. That word extant, it can't be changed or altered or taken down. It's still legitimate on that British shipmast when they're playing around with the British shipmast with different flags and claiming authority and changing their spots to fool people that what they do, they can do anything. When you're in government, you can do anything you like against what people think or what the tribes of Ngāpuhi think, that they can do what they like on their land and put things up because they are the ones in charge of the land titles in the first place. That's why I'm going after the land titles. You take control of something. You either take full control of the flag or you take control of the legal documents of the land. Take the land from under their feet. And that's how we're going to do it. And there's no time for long time lessons, learning how to do things. There's only time for experienced people to finish the job off because we have enough information. We didn't have to try hard with that flag ending. They're not fools in Britain. They're not fools at all. And they can see right through it of the tampering, what you call in legal terms, tampering with the evidence. That's a treasonable effect of anybody that interferes with the king's business while it's still in business. That flag is up on the pole, it's still in business, even though we're not doing any business, because the government legislated it out by inferior statute laws. The right laws, they put the right laws back at 1835 and further back. That's the only time you can use it effectively to make this flag work. But it still needed to go back to the crown, which is the business, and the Rothschilds is running the crown, and get the point across with a good lot of people there in Britain, and yourself and Frank. Frank is flying that flag, you're flying that flag because you believe it. You either believe something that's been played around with and thrown away as if it means nothing. A king's flag, they say, is a king's flag. It means nothing because it's just a piece of rag. Then stick something else up to fool everybody. And that's what they've been doing all the time with the Treaty of Waitangi, fraud document that hasn't even got a British government print seal on it, a watermark on it, and they've fooled everybody by thinking it's a real paper they're signing, and then the real one is still there and never went in back through the legal process. They just hid the one that's got the Tucker watermark on it away. So they're doing all these things in front of us, and we're going to try them for it in the court. We're taking their business to court, not the government. We're taking the business, the corporate business to court in the Magistrates, where the ship started from in the first place, and the captain on a ship. That's why I make myself a surrogate of the king, as if I'm a captain on a ship, on our documents, then put the king's seal on it to make it sense, looks like sense, and then the chief signed it at Waitangi, and that's all it took. It's all it took is the elders to believe what I'm saying. They believe me, but the thing is, I haven't come back with the goodies. I have to go back and try again, and keep at it with a whole lot of people now we believe what we're doing is the right way, because it hasn't worked for anybody living in New Zealand, and they're saying it on that video with Jimenez that it's hitting everybody, and they don't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do, Andy. They haven't got any solutions. We're here for solutions to the problem that's happening and affecting everybody right through the world, and this is it.
Yeah, sure. It's about being solution focused, not problem.
Yeah, that's why we didn't want anybody talking about anything else. Don't talk about churches or Satan or God or even tikanga. You can't talk in legal terms on a piece of paper because they haven't put it through the government. In Westminster, you only talk to the documents that come from there, not from New Zealand, because they've altered it all and changed it all to suit their little business and their little crown. And that little crown is answerable to the big crown in Westminster on the throne. So all the Commonwealth countries have to pay the crown for the lease that they've borrowed for the land running in their countries. You see, so that's how it works. The land, they come to take the land to make the money for them and their corporation, and all the corporations follow suit because that's all they're after, the money and the resource out of the land for their little business or big business. And so we just have to make a business, Andy. The only way to tackle the beast is to make a business bigger than Ben-Hur and go with it with all the people and more supporters from everybody. Not just Maori, what they say is Maori. It's a myth. The Maori's a myth.
As you said, John, you need people to own it. You know, it's everyone. It's yours, guys. It's what's been hidden from everybody. That's the way I see it. My point on this is first in time is first in line. So that's the law. That's it sorted. So we know, that the 8 pointed was created first. So there we've got that scenario. Yeah, we've got the obviousness that there's nowhere it's showing that the 5 pointed come from. Yeah, there's no swap over, there's no show over change, there's nothing there. So first is always going to be the first. The other point to it is, which is what, because I don't believe anybody, only the facts will tell the truth. That's because they'll always remain the same. Yeah. And the other point is that when I was told that time, when it was somebody that I knew, I've known him for years. Yeah, never knew him or talked to him anything about any flag or anything, and he was working on super yachts. And like I said to you at the time, he said, like, you recognise the flag. I said, well, how do you recognise that flag? He said, well, I said, well, then I just thought I thought he was messing around. And he said, yeah, well, the guy who put it up, he said his claim to fame was the Queen had made him breakfast. I said, go on, then you've got me now. And basically, they used that flag to get past all of the flags to get to the front of the harbour when they needed to park up. And the guy was the Getty. It was the Getty family. So that flag, even though it's not recognised, it is obviously recognised, but it's who's recognising it. So it's there. So that's all I want. All I want is to know the truth. It's there. Let's have the truth out here. Let's have the facts here. Because as far as I'm concerned, that was a one-stop shop for everybody. For everybody. Everything that everyone's all been fought, it's all within inside that flag. And it was the answer that could solve everybody's problems and stop the corruption from, well, like you say, you're taking it back. You're taking it back, and fraud vitiates all. So it goes back to where the fraud started, and it just captures, it shows, like I say, it removes the facts will always remove the fiction, and we've all been lied to. Anyway, that's my piece.
Yeah, I'll just say this, Andrew. I just want to see this photo is taken on the 26th of May, 2004. This is at the United Nations Security Council. On the, it will show that there's a special agent. His name was Anthony Husbands from the United Nations. In the middle is Carla Reweri, and I am on the I'm on the left from my side of looking at it. And so that's our flag. Our flag is actually in the United Nations. This even though you can't see the amount of points, it's actually the 8-pointed, not a 5-pointed. And as you can see, you you can't see any white fimbriation on that. It's actually dark. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because Trump is holding a flag, Darrell, in America. There's people in America I've been working with that got the flag over there flying, and then Trump has got one, and Paul Brown in Ireland. They went to the golf course and caught Trump there and gave him this flag as well. So he's looking at it as being if the United Nations, which is what Trump wanted to shut down. He was trying to shut it down when he was the president, and just about there he followed him, but he doesn't want Britain and Scotland destroyed by the EU Parliament and take over Westminster as under Brexit, and so he doesn't want to lose that power, and that's why he went there with the Queen and drummed up something between them. You might as well say America is Britain, and run by Britain, and so that's what I'm saying with what happened with Trump. And Trump may be the savior of America, but would he recognize this flag? That's what Darrell was trying to do with him, but I haven't heard back too much from him. He's going after his own King Arthur. Now switched over out of this flag and told me to shut it down. And so that's another story for another day. Darrell Payne, my mate in America. So he says he's putting the records right about the king. He should be in England trying to be a king. Anybody can be a king and take the throne because the Queen has left the throne wide open. If you did research on that, that bothers me because it's our business here to know where the throne is going to end up with all that wealth that's come out of New Zealand and all the other countries. But I'm talking about us and this flag that protected our wealth and our business under corporations when our chiefs were going with it. And so that's what I'm saying. At this stage of the monarchy under the Queen is in tatters. And that's the way they've been running business, in tatters all along. And the war, they start the war by using this flag in hidden from us because it's in Parliament in Wellington in the Beehive. They put it in the cabinet, and the government here is usurping that power of martial law in the sea, and for them with their Maori ministers who are running their business, and us not seeing what they're doing with it. And even with the United Nations, they're going to try and sneak the thing off and take this whole country out with it. And then where it goes to after that, who knows? That's why we haven't got much time before they pass the acts here of inconsistency, the Declaration of Inconsistencies Amendment Act, which is a declaration. They're declaring a new declaration over this declaration flag to go under federal law of Australia, which is what they're doing now, cunningly, putting martial law on us and the COVID. And they've spread that right through the world. And I'm pretty sure of me and my guess is that they're using this flag and giving the Maori is the biggest problem of their own self as their own people that are helping the Little Crown Corporation here to use it while no one's looking. You see, so that's why that's what they're up to, and putting it in the United Nations to take the whole world out and leave us with nothing. That's the part that bothers me. That's what our group here and NAPWI have got to think about. Well, how do you see the country slipping away, or any countries run under the British Westminster and America? How the country slips out of their hands, and right under pieces of paper, documents that we have to construct a paper document that's got everything of more powerful instruments to outdo their instruments. That's what I'm about. It has to be legal. We have to stay in a fiction world that the kings created for us, but not corrupted in the sense that it is now. We'd be better off going back into the King's Bench Court, and the King on the throne, whoever that's going to be. And I never was going to be a king. I'd rather be a captain on a ship, taking the King's orders and expressing our authority with this flag and keeping that magistrate and admiralty going while it's still there before they got rid of it all. When the New World Order takes over, they get rid of all these laws that got them in there in the first place. All the Vatican, Israel have been corporatized under this flag, and anywhere that they've got their authority from these kings, not queens, kings, and then the Queen gave the authority away like the Queen is doing from New Zealand, giving it to every Tom, Dick and Harry, her permission for them to use their governments to squander the lands away right under their nose. That's what I'm saying about the flag. The flag is very powerful in the wrong hand. It's in the wrong hand. Everything's in the wrong hand. You can talk about a lot of things. Kate talks about a war. You can hear it. That she talks about fighting. We're not fighting. We're not here for a fight online. We're here for the paperwork of land and memorial in particular. That's why I went to Ireland to go and claim St. Patrick's Memorial to those acts of King William III, and Kate's just gone straight in, pull out and get pick one act and think you're going to save the whole world with it. All the other acts do matter and can override another act quite easy.
Well, especially when she's just referring to the bill 1688 and not the actual act that was passed in 1689. Just got to go to the 1689 and stop using an instrument that has no valid constitutional clout at all.
That's what I say, Andy. She let her do what she wants to until it goes in front of a judge, and he'll read the book on law acts and find that it's not even being ratified. It hasn't received the royal assent. And that picture I put on my page shows King William and the Third of Orange and Queen Mary sitting together and being coronated. And so the coronation happens in 1689, not 1688. So there was no crown authority from the throne on a 68 document under his watch, under King and Queen's watch, an authority to express a bill that was made before those two monarchs got there. She has to go back to another monarch before that to justify using it. That's why I never use it. I use something that's show the act. So she'll have to read the act out in front of the judge and everybody who's watching her, and the way she uses acts and laws or things on her documents, it makes the document not strong enough. That's and telling everybody to follow her and lead them into something that's not looking good from my angle. We have to make sure the delegation going to Britain has the right instruments to make a case that's solid.
If it's correct, you know what I mean, it's the square peg in the round hole, isn't it? You know, you've got to have the right peg for the right hole. It's as simple as that, and if it does, it should work. Right? So yeah, like you say, for the people that, you know, God bless. I mean, like I say, God bless everyone for trying, and I'm sure ultimately, realistically, I mean, everyone's on the same path. Those with a good heart, anyway. Those of mankind, those that want good for all. I mean, it's not. I'm not particularly. I don't care of races. It's not a class of race. I think it's all one kind. It's one mankind. So you know, this is for all. If it's not right for all, it's not right for me. But I mean, everyone has their own ways, and everyone sees. You know, they're scared. They're scared. I mean, you've got to give your power away to the people. This is where the trust forms, isn't it? The power isn't necessarily a man's or a woman's power. It's the power. that we all have instinctively, and you know, it's inside us all. And there's just one agreement that we can shine. It's like a crest. So I had this with the Baron, you know, about a flag. It's about the flag, but ultimately, we need some form of community that looks after itself. This is now a one flag shop that protects everyone in every community everywhere in the world, and free to travel under a unity of understanding that these are the governing rules. I won't breach my duties within inside the flag, and so long as I don't, then I'm safe to passage. I'm safe to travel anywhere I am, and everyone, as far as I'm concerned, once that's understood, everyone would obviously agree to it, because it's right for everyone. It's right for all, so therefore it's right for me. That's you know, I just try and keep things simple. I've got to keep things simple in my head so that I can picture it. You know, can I picture, you know, everyone in the world can agree that 3 + 3 = 6, can't they? So we can have a unity, we can have common sense, but unfortunately we haven't got common sense at the moment, yeah, because of what's been done to the language and what's been done, you know, in history in itself, like the distrust. There is no trust. That trust has to form again, and it has to come. But we have to have something that's down there, shown to be there, and that everyone can see clearly. So I mean, that's what I say. What we want is this 8-pointer finally prove. You know, we need the United Tribes flag. We need it. We could even call it the unit. We can change the name of the flag, and when we all agree to, and we can have it as Unity Kingdom. You know, Unity Kingdom, rather than take the king, because kin is the people. Is the future, and the domain is the world that we're living in. So in unity, with some common sense. This is the numbers. This is what the number. We've got a unity in numbers. Everyone knows what the numbers mean. Everyone knows that one number is one meaning. You know. Now we have the words, and now we have a rule, a common goodness rule. Yeah, a performance rule, a performance duty, rather than telling us what not to do. Telling us what we should do. And we all should know what we're really instinctively. We all know what we should do, and that's, you know, great. Love thy neighbour. Love is the power. Love is the one that sends. Like I say, we're not here. This flag wasn't a war flag. This flag is a end all wars, so that we can have unity, and that's the reason for why I'm here. That's the reason for why I joined on when I heard what you were saying about the flag. And when you pointed out the simple points, and then when I got told about the point that the flag is actually being used, so I know that the flag's in the hands of powerful people, so-called powerful people, and so it is being used. It is recognised, but why isn't it? Why should certain people be having that when it's a flag for everybody? It's everybody's flag, yeah. So it shouldn't be. You know, there's not. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, so to say. You know. Yep. So you know, let's have it recognised once and for all. So you know, this is the way, or hopefully this will bring more people in. Who's going to bring in some knowledge? I mean, even if it's nothing for else, surely you're going to want that clearing up. Everyone should want it clearing up. Everyone knows first in line is first in sight. You know, it's there. So come on, let's either prove it or disprove it. Either way, we're here for both. You know, or let's destroy everything and create a new one in unity for the whole world, for everybody, that we can all agree to.
Something like that. What I think is, why would chiefs fight for their opportunity to go and see a king to help them with the lands going under their feet by unruly people who are outnumbering them with guns, and then the king goes and gives the chiefs a flag, and they hoist the flag up, and next minute it gets hoisted down, not by them, but by the people in government, to take something down that they fought for, and then stick another flag up. What's the sense in that? What's the sense in keeping that alive? And that's why these chiefs up north, they keep flying that flag, because they believe it's still valid, it's still their king that gave it, not a queen that pulled it down, like they say. They've altered all the history here, the books, the school books and everything to suit the narrative of what they want people to believe when it's not true. They still make people to believe that the injection is safe when it's not, but then they don't care. That's it's coming out in them how they behave to assume everything is an illusion. They're the one causing the illusion and using their behavior, the way they make laws in Parliament, so that they can do all these things. So we just take this and make it work for us. That's what the idea is. The people watching this video is to take the power back in that flag that was given for them, that's not lowered to the ground, and operated with it at half mast until you get the right to put it up the top. That's the first step in saving the world, because it's still there. It's still there, which means it's still legitimate. It's still legitimate as being. It's the only thing that's got continuity of sovereignty. When the Queen snapped their sovereignty off, I don't know what years it is, but and then I wrote all this up. I put the documents up on my page of when she did that, and then the sovereignty, her sovereignty, was broken. Once it's broken, the document becomes useless. That's I put it there. I'll talk about that another night on those documents. I did all the research on it, on sovereignty, and it just clearly shows what has happened when you break your sovereignty off to the crown and the throne. That's why she's run away, because she couldn't stand what she did. Why isn't she sitting on the throne and die on the throne instead of in Scotland? Why the logic of her intelligence runs away like they all do when like Bloomfield, the head of the health department here, health general, run away after he's passed the law in Parliament, and then resign and run away, and then the other ministers follow him that set this whole scam up in the vaccine, and now they're not going to be seen anymore. But the damage is done. The amount of damage with using something to create war and destruction of a country, they're the ones doing it in under the Queen's watch. That's what I'm saying. Everything is under the Queen's watch when she's not on the throne. She's not there. She doesn't attend anything. She's not resident in Buckingham Palace. She's gone forever, and that's the point. She can't do anything to abdicate, to change her and pass it on to somebody. There's nothing. It's just void. Everything that she does, and the Treaty of Waitangi and the flag and everything is void. It's the same picture. It's the same picture that's playing out. And that's the part that I wanted to teach Kate Frost. Where's your Queen? Where the hell is your Queen? Why isn't she sitting on the throne where she should be, guarding all the money that she's got? Well, she's not, because there's no money there. They've taken it all out of the country. They've gone and invested around the world, and we're not going to get and see any of it.
I mean, the questions on the Queen would be, my point then to the questions on the Queen, yeah, on the grounds that would be, number one, that she never got coronated on the Stone of Scone. She signed the coronation oath at the top, voiding out anything below it. And she stated in her on video and live saying that what she was saying was insincere, telling you clearly that she wasn't being sincere. Otherwise, she would have said it in all sincerity. She didn't. She said insincerity. So she was being insincere. And like she said, there was nothing that she could do. All she could do was give you a heart. And, you know, if those things are true, then that heart's not a very clean heart, is it? It's not a very clean heart. And that's all that she was giving the people. So that would what I would need clearing up. And the mere fact on those points. So unless anyone can show me something different, then that's still in my head and it's still floating around and that's not cleared up. And the same sense on the other side to it, which is the flag, you know, until you can show me that it doesn't, that it's been taken down, then it's still clearly, it's an obviously it's there. And it's when you point out the fact of what they did with the 5-point star, you know, and all this talk and all these other things that they make up, but it didn't destroy the 8-point. There's been no changeover. There's nothing's been shown. So, you know, it's just, these are way my mind works out. You know, I deal on facts. You know, I have to deal with facts. You know, I can work out 3 + 3 = 6 because it's, you know, it's very, you know, I need to, you know, we need to see things. We need to see it. We need to see the timeline. We need to see what's going on. We need to, you know, just to show what's actually happening.
What I say is the King's flag they have, that they assume that they had the power to use it for a short time, didn't stay up and stay up forever. It played around with it, then pulled it down. What's the sense of doing that and putting something else?
If you did it, if you can imagine now, if there was one word, one voice that could speak now to every man on this planet that you're all free, but just because you've been told you're free or you've been set free, you could still go back to your servitude and you could still go back to being a slave without knowing it and be funding the criminals, which is what people are doing because I mean, everyone that's paying taxes, all this, where is that money? You know, no taxation without representation. Where is it? Where's it going? What are they doing with it? Well, we can see clearly what these alleged governments, because they're not, they're all corporations, and that's what's actually happening now, you know. So yeah, like I say, yeah. Does anybody else want to add? Anybody want to say anything, or you know? So I mean, because this video, hopefully, this video will bring more people in, and there's been some serious information in this being put out. So you know, hopefully, this will bring in more people to. That's going to come forward with some facts, hopefully. You know, that's all we want, is facts. Nice to keep it clean. It's been very clean. We're not here to argue. Not here to argue. We're here to, you know, produce the facts. And anyone's got any better facts, then bring forward. Does anybody else want to say anything?
No one else.
Yeah, I think they want to listen first.
Yeah, that's what.
And see what we are about, what we are about. And I think Hemi was right on with what he's saying, is to get a timeline of where we go. So I think we need that sort of approach. These are pointers to give some thought to work on and in solving the problem.
What he was also saying was, I mean, on the financial sides of things. So you know, I mean, this. To be truthful, I mean, obviously I did what I did while I still had a bit of money left to get you over there, John. So, I mean, on the financial sides of things, like, is, you know, this is for everybody. I mean, if for everyone, just to clear this matter up, you know, the financial side of it is just getting this to court. That's basic, and getting the people there. So, I mean, the people that want to see this. That's where the funding is going to come from, because obviously you're not going to get any funding from anyone that doesn't want to see this. Anyone that wants to, that's involved with or been trapped with inside the illusion what was created afterwards, they're not going to, you know, they're fighting their own battles in their own heads, because they're not. That's what I'm trying to say. You've got to come back from a solid point. So so those that want to establish the solid point, and that's where I take it the financial side of things is going to come, if they want to fund this trip. This mission to you know, get this solution, this solved, the solution of this conundrum, yeah, of what's really going on. Administration side, I think, as far as I'm aware, that you've got everything that you need to take to the court. Everything, all your paperwork and all your documentation that you want to be presenting is already done. You've got all your affidavits and all your, you know, all your supporting evidence that you need. So I don't know whether there is anything else administrative wise that you need. But that was just some of the questions for the identity of the roles of who is in here helping it. This is why this is what the shout's out there for. If whoever wants to know the truth, you know, anyone who wants to see this answered once and for all in a court of law, you know, and this should be aired. It should be across the world. It should be, you know, it should be an open court to the world like we was trying to do before, you know, because it should be open for the world to see and judge, because the world is the judge, the people are the true judge, you know. So yeah, I mean, that's the only other side to it. Is there anything else that, you know, is what is it that you're needing? What is it that you're needing to finish this job, John? What else is it you could possibly need, apart from obviously the funding, which would be anybody who wants to chip in, get the mission done? Is there any administrative side that you need?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The documents, everything. Someone should be a secretary to keep notes and of what we're doing, and so that we can put it all together. And that's a job. That's a job for someone. And so if we just wait to see what the response is for the next meeting from this one, to see if anybody wants to talk. But there, that's I'm glad that we've been able to talk about it for now, and then no interference with any other matters. Because we're going straight to the point to try and get a crew together, and then start doing things. Because me and Alfred, we got our gear, apart from the funding to get there, and so we still need to people to go, some from the marae itself up north. But then they need to know what they're doing if asked questions from the court, and be something that's up to date and can stand there on their own, or get help from us anyway. We help each other to and documents to explain everything and all that. And the most thing is to get the support from people, like on the radio station, that Green Planet, like they can see something. That guy Tim Lynch, he's the radio announcer on that Green Planet, that he knows, he understands, looking right through it, that there's something wrong. There's something wrong for everyone. It's too big. They'll say it's too big to tackle and take on the Rothschild, but I still want to test the documents out, and to make sure that it's checked by someone in our group to keep me on track, because I'm not young anymore, and so to keep my notes and everything, it needs a secretary. I had Jamie Patrick. Back then, when we were doing all this in courts and Cook Street and all the John Key case and all that we did on the marae with Alfred here, it's on video on YouTube, that we were taking them to court for the Panama Papers, all those sorts of things, and we haven't done anything because we've got no money to go to court, and so money is my big problem, to get to court and try and do it on our own without a lawyer. That's what our people have been trying to do. That's why those guys with me at Cook Street were representing themselves in the court, and the court wouldn't listen to them because it's not our court. We still need our own court. That's why I made a magistrate court, the native magistrate court, so that we have control of our documents. So those sort of things, you need someone that can put together something so we can go and hire the courts and have a court hearing in there or somewhere. We can operate, and at the moment we can do it remote. We can run all this by Zoom, because that's what the government does anyway. They do Zoom. The police, everybody uses Zoom because it just saves a lot of money and saves a lot of time going to a place to have a meeting when you can do it in your own house. And so if we use that to set us up very quickly, then that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who can organize this end, like what you're doing, Andy, this end, so that we can get our stories together and put them in one place and for the organisation, the business. That's what I have that company now, Te Ture Whenua Limited, to take on this government's corporation company with our company that belongs to the whole people in New Zealand. That company I set up for that and registered. You can't take the government on and without a corporation. You need a corporation to take a corporation to court. And we're taking the government to court through our own corporation set up so that the government will listen to it. They'll talk to it, because if it's got better information, better instruments than theirs, then they're out of order and can't compete. And if we get Britain on our side and you fellas there, then it makes it that much easier to get the support. I've got a lot of people in Britain that want me to see what's happening. Where have I been? Gone, and thought I'm gone forever. No, I'm recovered, and I'm back now. That's why I'm here now, and I'm in the best place I can be to do things here, and try and keep the Confederation going. That's what I want to do, Andy. Keep the Confederation going, and find other people who are going to stand up to the mark under the Confederation and that Confederation flag, that federal state government flag. That's what it is. It's a lot of instruments inside it that we should be using in this group. We can explore all the laws and everything in it, and the King's Laws Act itself. We can go straight into the King's Laws Act 1835 backwards. And the government here stops all the treaty claims at 1840. Maori are not allowed to go back before 1840. That's why when I took the Manukau land claim for New Zealand to the court, the OTS, Office of Treaty Settlements, wouldn't listen to us. They said, no, you have to stay on the 1840 treaty. And Moi Manukau says, but here's the birth certificate here of a Manukau that his family, the Rogans, the ones who are doing all this sort of thing, and put the birth certificate, and they wouldn't accept it. That was a real birth certificate that the government and the Office of Treaty Settlements turned down on these treaty claims. That's why we never got anywhere. And Ngāti Whātua, who took over the land in Auckland, is where Mohi Manukau in the Cook Street comes under his own original Manukau title with King George IV, 1823. They can't prove it. They can't go back that far because they've been limited themselves to 1840 because of their history. They stop it right there. They can't prove anything before 1840 because they designed it that way around when King William IV died in 1807, or what yeah, about then, when was he died? 1830 to 1837, King William IV. And 1837.
1837, yeah.
That's when they designed this thing for 1840 and switched everything. And that's where the problem is that we face right now, is proving that was legitimate, even with the Queen and the coronation. It's not legitimate in law, but no one's taken them to court. No one's ever taken them to court about that I know. So we're taking them to court, taking everybody to court. John Key, the whole of Helen Clark for the foreshore seabed, stealing the foreshore and seabed for their little business and their little crown. And also, I've got all those on record to take them to court one shot. Take all the cases, and Kate's got one case. I've got many documented, and to take out Bill English, the whole lot of them in Parliament that caused all of this fraud and corruption of the land and the system. So all those cases, we're going to put it all together. That's why I need someone to unravel all my documents and put them in chronological order so that it makes sense. All my documents are all over the place.
I want to speak about that. John, a secretary is not going to think. You need a proper administration because we're not ready to go anywhere really until we consolidate and sort out all the documents and put into perspective. because the situation, John, you can't work with just your iPhone. Your iPhone. You haven't even got a laptop or printer or anything, and so you're going to have to get everything, all your documents consolidated and all that. Even myself, you know. so that's something we need to, John and I need to start to work on, and because we're reliant on going up to the printers to get paperwork done. So the thing is that John and I are not experts like young people who know how to do things on computers and all this and all that. But John would know more about computers than I do. But you know, I'm from the old school. You know, you write on a pen and paper. I'm not used to this modern technology, so I get things eventually done, but I don't get it professionally done like graphics and all this, like everything. Mine is an amateurish and all this and all that. So definitely, we got to. John and I will have to focus in compiling things because it's certainly going to take about good 3 months to compile these things and not be dropped on us and just to get it all done in about a couple of weeks or so. Now, another thing I wanted to touch is the history of their flag is confirmed, and this one here is in the New Zealand Police. Now, this got the history that John is aware of from King William III of Orange, and how, if you look at the New Zealand the maps and all that, they got the seal of the province of New Ulster, which is the North Island. They got the seal of the province of New Munster, which is South Island. They got New Leinster. So this it shows that the flag, or the 8-pointed flag of King William the Fourth, is this very same. It all came under the Protestant King William III of Orange and Queen Mary. So this is confirmation. They can't deny that this country was actually under the King William III of Orange, which is the King William the Fourth of England.
Yeah, so right now, the government is legislating the acts of the Republic of Ireland, the southern part, the Munster side. They are putting it into legislation now so that they can usurp those laws while we're still a Commonwealth until they get this country off us, and they'll put it into the UN and take away all these history that of our links to Ireland. That's why I go on about Ireland all the time, being connected to us through King William the Third, and solidified our relationship with people from there here, living here, that should be standing up with us. Those people should, but they don't. They stand up with the Crown in Wellington, the little Crown, because they only care about living on the land and not worrying about history. But when you go back to historic titles, it comes out on top. If you use it, we haven't used it yet. We haven't used those instruments yet for documents to claim the connection to the Crown and to the King with this King flag. Why get rid of a King flag, which was the power in the first place? That Kate is going on about just justifying a 5-point star of the King, that she's going on with King William III and Queen Mary, and then all of a sudden ditch it and carry on as if it didn't matter that she's going under that Bill of Rights as being something the government here is playing around with.
I don't feel it's been. I don't feel it's been got rid of, John. I just feel it's been usurped and hidden from everybody.
Yeah,
you know, just on the grounds, you've got the grounds of the fact that, like I say, it was used by the Gettys I've had confirmation firsthand because he was on that ship, he was on that yacht, that super yacht that they used it, and also on the grounds when Dino spoke with the Navy guy who said there, he said, yes, we're obligated to it. So, you know,
Yeah.
you've got those facts. So, you know, so it's there, it is being used, but it's in the wrong hands, like you say, it's in the wrong hands, and it should be in everyone's hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on that ground. And like I say, I mean, just on the other side to it, like, because the other thing is, you know, we're not here as a threat to so-called government. We're here as a threat to the people that are in there because they're not right. So it's just that it's not necessarily dissolve all governments, or more so clean them. We're here to clean them up and have them. See, this is the point. I mean, see, as far as I'm concerned, government should be the governed, and the people are the government. Yeah, and at the moment they've spun it. Everything's been reversal. So the government is controlling the people, and they're the people. Therefore, they're claiming are the governed, which there is no contract with them anyway, so they can't be. And the point is, who's governing the government? Who's governing this so-called government? You know, and if it's the rules and regulations, where do those rules and regulations come from? If we're going to say, because they've usurped it, like you say. So, you know, we need clarity. We need clarity. We need to be made sure. And the people are the ones that should be the ones that's can keep in these so-called governments, which I call governed, accountable. We should be the one that holding them accountable. But like you say, they're just ignoring us because they've usurped the power. They've usurped, because I mean that flag basically was the Navy. I look at it as that flag basically is the power of the Navy.
Yeah.
They took control of the money. They usurped the money from being gold backed to now fiat currency, which is nothing. This is now paying the Navy, which then protects them. And it's not protecting us because they're controlling the money, but the money was always within inside that. And that's what was kept the Satan and the pirates, so to say, away from the money. And it's those exact same people are the ones that have usurped it and created it. And they've used us for it, you know? So, yeah, I mean, there's so much, you know, I'm sure, like I say, we wanted to, there should be a documentary. I mean, that's sort of the other thing was like, you had Pete, remember that Pete, the guy in Hong Kong when you met him, to make a documentary or film on this. The truth wants to be put out there so that people can see it clearly, and they need it putting into rather than like Zoom calls like this and us talking, it wants putting into a film format so that people can see exactly where it all went wrong, which is the point where you're trying to take the shit back, where it all went wrong, so that it can all be corrected, because everything that's been taken has been stolen, and it's been stolen and stolen from the people, and it was always the people's, so it should all be given back. And this is the way, you know, by taking the shit back is the way of getting it back for everybody, because it exposes all the criminals to this day,
so
that are still going around today.
so that's why I took this approach by going back to a magistrate court where it called onto the land in the first place and said it belonged to the king, not the queen, it belonged to the king. And so I'm going back to that point in time to do the same thing, and then challenge the courts there now of their power to override this flag. So it's still the flag on trial in the court to bring it back to life on our side. It's not gone, it's still there, but it needs the people to decide to do it, not just us here in the Confederation, because we're not in a position to do anything with nothing.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I think, I mean, unless anybody else has anything to say or anything else, I think it's been, how long has it been? I'm not sure how long it's been.
Yeah, that's good. No longer.
Yeah, it's nearly 4 hours as it is. So I think with the information with inside this, the Zoom video recording now, hopefully that's going to stir up enough interest to bring in more people that have got more knowledge next time that can add or, you know, whichever. Sorry?
Could I say something before we go?
Yeah.
So obviously, John, you know, I know you're wonderful, and Alfred, I don't know how you've been doing this, how you have for so long, like you have, really. So I've been sending each of these links to Daryl. And as you know, John, he had a massive hack on his Facebook account, so he had to shut it down. He wasn't capable to change the password, so he had to shut it down. It was a massive, massive hack. He wanted to be in on each Zoom, but his window for getting access to his laptop is very small. So all he can do is listen on his tablet or on his phone. So he was on here listening for the first hour to two. And when you were saying, raise your hands if you want to help, he had said in the messages, and then he messaged me and he said to tell you whatever he can do to help you, that he's not gone away, that he is here. The whole plan was he was to come over here, not December gone, the December before that. He had no passport because you know the way his mind works, he will not get into that corporate fiction ball of rubbish, let's say. So he was going to travel with the flag. He made it across to the eastern side of America by planes. And as he got into Virginia, the world was literally closing in around him. Within the space of 3 hours, every country was shutting down. So to get to there, the UK, he was coming in through Portugal, through Ireland, and then the plan was to go over there. But because he couldn't travel, and I knew there was also someone else who has connections with the Pentagon, and we were both talking to him too, and he tried everything. But because it was happening around the world, he was honestly safer going back to where he was. So that's where that situation is in. Then the lockdown occurred, and it's barely just lifting now. But he did say, like, I know it's all a financial game everywhere. We all want to do something, and we're all kind of stuck as far as that goes. There's not too much I can say on that publicly. But there are things due to happen between now and the 8th, and then starting point 5 days is all it will take. So yeah, he just wanted me to let you know that he's not gone anywhere, and that if you want to do a call, like he said, his window for Zoom is so small, and he doesn't expect these meetings to work around him and his schedule because it's not really as open as I would be. But he does want you to know that he's not gone away, and anything you need, whether it's document, whatever, he's there to help you. That he has.
1 second.
Sorry, Frank.
He's muted, yeah.
So that he has all your documents, and he is there to help, and he's not gone away. Yeah, so it was important for him that I pass that on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca, what country are you in? Just so I know. Are you?
I'm in Ireland. So yeah. So I'm doing a lot of research in connection to the Hill of Tara. John knows how I feel. I know we're not talking about certain specifics here, but he knows how I feel about King William III and James I and Louis XIV of France too, and the Vatican and all that. I'm quite knowledgeable in what I know and why I am the way I am. So I know a lot different than most Irish people. There's a lot of propaganda everywhere. There has been for a long, long time. But when you have faith and trust in someone like I do, John, you don't question John. You go and you do your research to find out why John speaks the way he does. So when you have that trust in someone, you go and you find the holes and you find out what's really taking place. So I did that, and I made my true connections with the past. And basically everything that's going on now, the whole world is run by propaganda. It has been for a long, long time, and it was run by propaganda back then. And back in King William III's era, Louis XIV and James I, they were two very big culprits in that. Very, very big culprits in that. So what they actually did was James I, he was a crypto Catholic, and James I, the Bible. So he actually stripped away. See, we're a 5-province island here, and Ulster is a part of the south, and the south is a part of Ulster. So we're a 5-province country, and James I came in and took our most sacred province away from us, and he changed us from a 5-province country to a 4-province country. And now the 4-province flag isn't even recognized. And the 5th province is called, well, was called Meath. Meath meaning middle. And that's where the Hill of Tara is. So the Hill of Tara is a very sacred area of land, apologies. So yeah, I have grievances with James I and Louis XIV. So then obviously King William, when they went and sought him out and said, look, will you come back and do something with Mary's father? You know, he's destroying the country and the people. So they had to come back in gladly to help. By that stage, Louis had reigned in France for a lot of years. I believe it was almost 74 years. Most of his life was in kingship there. So when William and Mary took back England, James I, Louis sent him over, because he stayed with Louis, sent him over to Ireland. And there's an area of Ireland southeast where there's no land manned, let's say. So a lot of invasions happen in Ireland through that southeastern coastline. So James thought, oh, we'll go in with my Bible and the Catholics will take us back and we'll get England through Ireland. And at least if we can't get England back, we'll make a ruckus with Ireland and they'll be on our side. So thankfully, when James came through Ireland, snuck in with very few manpower, and William was waiting for him and said, get back to Louis, you, or I'll sort you good and proper, because he was trying to be respectful of him being Mary's father. So he ran him back and said, go on wherever you want to go. So he went back and hid with Louis, and King William cleaned everything up good and proper. So yeah, that's where I come in, why I wear this flag like this. It started with John, obviously. I followed and supported what he was doing, everything he went through, and done my research along the way. Yeah, so that's where I sit.
Thank
Or
you.
stand, should I say?
Well, thank you for helping teach us the history of this flag.
Oh my gosh, you'll make me tear. Oh, guys, I'm so grateful to be here and help in any way I can. And all I can do is speak up for John and show people the truth. That's all I can do right now, anyway. But like I said, there's
Contact?
Yeah. we
Okay, you,
contact all the
okay,
time.
good.
Yeah. So she's our Irish contact.
Good.
She's with that flag.
Yeah.
And what we're doing as a confederation
Yeah,
to
good.
keep our links going.
Yeah.
Where our ancestors came from Ireland, and to keep our documents, especially our documents, intact, and we can use them effectively with Ireland behind us. In the Crown in Westminster. So she can talk from the land there, and we talk from the land here, but not from somewhere else. So we're more or less trying to get something going here.
Yeah, and like I said, with Daryl, he did tell me to speak up for him and say that he has not gone anywhere. The whole plan was to come over here and do this properly, but obviously the whole world was shutting down. And him being American, you know, we didn't really know what way it was going. So even his Pentagon advice was saying, look, sir, you have to go back. And there was a long
He's got-
conversation there, but it was the right thing to do at the time for him.
Yeah, because he's got royal connections too.
No, he goes right back to King Arthur.
Yeah, so he's like Matt Taylor in England. He's our other one there. That's King Arthur. So someone has to go on the throne to at this stage, because it's sitting empty at the moment.
Anything that makes change, anything that
Yeah.
turns all this negative into a positive once and for all.
Yeah.
And like I said, financially and other things, I know I've spoken with you very briefly, John, about certain ideas and certain things we've all been wanting to do, basically. Andy as well. I even have Frank in mind too, only he's not aware. And a few others.
He's my mate. We kept up all night doing documents.
I know he's
and-
great, isn't he? We love Frank. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Daryl in Virginia? Is
No, he's not. He's in Northern California.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had to head back. He was actually down to Vegas. He was down in Vegas for, the best part of the year. And there was a park, John's aware of this, he took a video and sent it on. So there's a park called Sunset Park in Vegas. He's walking around the park and there's a man-made lake. And there in the middle of the man-made lake is a massive Moai statue. Massive in Vegas. So he was thinking to himself, what are you doing here? You know? And apparently he was told then that Vegas is like a little banking system of the earth. So you have all your separate banking systems. And then within Vegas, you've got London, Egypt, going way, way back in history. And it's another little banking empire. And it was purposefully set up that way to get people through the gambling. Yeah, so there's a lot he's been doing that he's aware of. And he's been itching to get over here now and itching to get this done. And there is a system set up, but it's all waiting for this financial role, which is supposedly to kick off on the 1st and be in the process by the 8th. And then there's a discrepancy of 5 days there to get the ball rolling. But everything is set up. Everything is set up. That's all I can say. But privately, we can have a talk on that, John, if he hasn't filled you in already.
Yeah, I see the emails there. I haven't looked at it yet because I was doing all the.
Oh, I
sending out all
know.
the-
I said that to him. You know, I said, look, he's very focused on this and this is all he can kind of take in at the moment. But anytime you want to have a call, you know I'm open. So I'm very open no matter what time of the day or night. I'm here and available. For him, it's a little more difficult. Although if it's for you, he's always more or less accessible on Skype.
Yeah, I see him there. I see him there this afternoon, but I couldn't. I didn't know our meeting was on. I thought it was Friday, Saturday, and I was right into the meeting, and the Skype was going flat out, and I didn't panic. I was prepared. I got all the things I wanted for the meeting tonight, and then we can talk tomorrow after today. So this will be good. It's a good start anyway from a meeting, and I hope a lot of people in Ireland would look at what's happening to Ireland and what's happening to New Zealand, and our history has been tipped upside down and taken advantage of your country, and what we should do now. Well, with Daryl, that's going to come over there, I'm hoping that someone is going to do something with what's happening in Westminster very soon, And at the same time, the timing might be right for him being there and us being there. And whatever happens to the monarchy, the EU wants it shut down, and the Commonwealth and everything got rid of. So it might end up that way, but I didn't really want to get rid of us in a hurry too soon before we do something now together for the good of Ireland and good of New Zealand and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Watching what we think, how we think, a solution for ourselves.
It's been very difficult for me to listen in and hear exactly what's going on over there and how all this division was planted. Very difficult to listen in and know exactly what's going on, because I can see through things and it's so clear. It's so clear. And I know Andy is the same. It's so clear what's been taking place and how long it's been planned for too. And you guys are doing amazing. You're doing absolutely phenomenal, honestly.
Yeah, so we got an opportunity, a small window of opportunity left to do something before something drastic happens with all this vaccination and stuff and skies, all the pollution and everything going on.
Yeah.
And even Ireland, the way it is, I watch all the time what's going on, but I can't do anything much without help from everybody else under same position.
Yeah.
As you, one day we'll be together over there.
Very soon. Very soon. Seriously, very, very soon.
Everyone's gonna have to want it for it to happen. But the thing is, people have got to know what it is that they want first. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone's, you know, the facts. Let's deal with the facts. That's all we're here to establish. Like, I think this will be long enough now. I think this one will be long enough, and hopefully this is going to bring. I think this is. I think we've explained enough exactly what we believe to have happened, what we believe could happen, and hopefully this should encourage anybody that has got the knowledge to come forward, because that's what we need. It's a meeting of the minds. That's what we're trying to bring. We're bringing people with the knowledge and the facts, and let's get something established once and for all for everyone.
Andrew, I was going to ask Rebecca, has she, you've seen the Dan Hermanson video, has Rebecca seen it?
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
just so important that everyone, you know, we're talking about this.
I have indeed. John has taught me an awful lot. Daryl has taught me an awful lot. And then I've been following, supporting and researching myself for years too. But I have been doing a lot into research and finding out exactly what's taking place. These video calls though has shown me so much of what's happening in New Zealand. It's not nice to see it all. It's like I explained before, you're good native people and very connected to the land, and it's difficult to see how that divide has been planted there. Yeah, it is. You're doing phenomenal.
Okay, Rebecca, I'll shout her out tomorrow.
Sorry.
I'll get on the Skype tomorrow and
Lovely.
catch up with the emails.
Look after yourself and sleep well. You know, look after yourself and sleep well, and we will catch up with you whenever suits you.
Okay.
Anybody else want to give any words out? Does anybody else want to add anything to it? Or is anyone that thinks there's anything that's been missed out that that wants pointing out? Anybody got any other points to point out? You're all muted, by the way. You have to unmute yourself if anyone does want to speak. If no one wants to, if nobody else wants to add, I think this is a wrap, so to say. We'll call this video, this HUI to an end, and then I'll put it up and I'll upload it onto YouTube straight away.
Thank
Good
you.
one.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay. Bye.
All right then.
Thank
Take
you,
care all. God bless all.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye bye now.
Bye.